Presentation of Badger football on Wisconsin Public Television is made possible in part by Goodman's Jewelers. John Hayes of Goodman's Jewelers, proud of the tradition started by Robert and Irwin Goodman. Goodman's Jewelers, the diamond store of Madison since 1933. News Talk 1310 WIBA AM and ESPN 1070. The Badgers play here. The Mendota Gridiron Club, the official fundraising organization for University of Wisconsin football. University Athletic Department, with official information about Badger athletics on the web. The Wisconsin Alumni Association, connecting, enriching, and serving UW-Madison alumni and friends for more than 140 years. UWalumni.com. And by the Badger Fund, the Wisconsin Athletic Department's annual fundraising program, 14,000 donors, supporting 750 Badger student athletes.
Welcome to Camp Randall Stadium and another week of unbeatens for the Wisconsin Badgers. I'm Mike Heller, along with Scott Nelson. In college football, it is so much about emotion, and the Badgers have had two big emotional weeks at North Carolina, and then last week's got the big win against Michigan. How does emotion play in to what they'll have to do today against Indiana?
I think today is a day built on emotion after last week coming out with a great game plan last week, executing that, maybe not necessarily in the first half, but definitely in the second half, making the corrections they had to do. Basically what they end up doing is going in at the end of the game, watching film the next day, breaking things down, and enjoying that for one day, and one day only, because there's a lot of work to do to prepare for the next game, in this case, Indiana.
Well, and it is Indiana in today. We talk about emotion in a game, and then during a week of preparation, Badgers felt it last week. Barry Alvarez showed it on the sideline.
Yeah, and I think that's the first time that I've really seen him this year get emotional that way. The excitement when penalties were called, challenging things and questioning things. That was one of the things I think the players really fed off at the end of the game, seeing how excited he was at the end of the game, going by the student section. Really, in his last year here, he's enjoying this. He's wrapping things up and taking it all in because he built the foundation here, and this is what it's all about for him.
And there are some parallels in Terry Hepner, the first-year head coach at Indiana. He's trying to do with that program in Indiana what Barry Alvarez did here at Wisconsin. He's got a long road ahead of him, but he's had success in the past.
Yeah, he has, and he's had a lot of success at Miami, and that's where he's coming from to Indiana this year. And what he's done is he's taken those things that Barry has done, he's translated them to Indiana, and the thing that he's done is he's got the backing of the Indiana Athletic Department. They're doing a strong push for tickets, doing a strong push for facilities like the Wisconsin has here, and a lot of those things going that he's got that backing, which I think is how you build a strong, solid program.
It's the 4-0, 17th ranked Wisconsin Badgers against the 3-0 Indiana Hoosiers, and the opening kick is next on Wisconsin Public Television. All right, and Wisconsin will get the opening kick in this one. It's a 11 o'clock in the morning kick time here in Madison, and with that, as we pan to the right there, you'll see the students maybe just a little bit late on the wake-up call this morning. Slightly late in arriving, but those that are here are in fine uniform and ready to go. The overall series the Badgers have controlled, although Indiana has won the last two meetings, 63-32 here at the UW in 2001, and then a come-from-behind three-point win at Indiana. You see Brandon Williams has been outstanding on kick returns this year. We'll see if Indiana kicks to them, and they have a different kickoff, a different kicker for kickoffs than they do for field goals and extra points. That's Austin Starr putting a foot into it, and it will carry to the right corner and into the end zone, so it'll be a touchback, and Wisconsin will start at their own 20-yard line. To have a lineup change for the Badgers today as they take the field. John Stocco leads the Badgers offense out onto the field with decent statistics, because that's all they've asked of him, Scott.
Yeah, he's just had to be solid in making sure he steers the team down the field. He hasn't had to be flashy. He hasn't had to go downfield, and those numbers are indicative of that.
As the last time we saw him, he was taking in a quarterback draw with less than a half a minute to play to beat Michigan a week ago. And the first snap today from the 20, that's Brian Calhoun. Stutter steps on the left and gets hit behind the line of scrimmage. and loses a yard in on the tackle. John Panazzo, he leads Indiana in tackles this year. The change is at fullback, where Chris Presley gets the start. As far as we could tell, Matt Bernstein was not in uniform, and Owen Daniels limps off after the first play. He hurt that left ankle last week against Michigan, Nelly, and he favors that coming off the field here. Badgers go with Calhoun split to the top of the screen, and 2 receivers to the near side, 2nd and 11. And they'll go to Calhoun on the left with the block and room to the 33-yard line, and Joe Thomas comes out on a kick.
You know what, you mentioned Daniels coming off a little bit on that first play. Raiola got dinged up too. He's limping around quite a bit too, which isn't going to be a good thing for the offense for Wisconsin.
Set to Indiana's defense. They will go with a defensive line that from the ends, Ishola and Adianju are both very good at the defensive ends. They did make a change in the linebacking core. Moore, Panazzo, and Killing get the start there. And the secondary, Majors, Myers, Grossfield, and Tracy Porter. It is 1st and 10 for the Badgers at the 32. And that's Calhoun on the delay. And a lot of room on the left side. Lost his footing. Still gets the 50.
You know, this is going to be one thing that Brian Calhoun is going to have to do after coming off a strong showing against Michigan, especially in the second half of last week. Coming in again today, can he repeat? Can he keep going as he's going? And the coaches have talked all season long. We don't want to give him too many carries because it's a long road ahead of us. Yet when you've got a guy that talented, you got to get him the ball somehow.
I want to talk about Chris Presley. We'll do that after this play. It's 1st and 10 from the Badger 49-yard line. Receivers to the top and bottom, and Stocco behind Raiola. That's Calhoun. Bumps into the outside, but lost probably 2 yards. The big change in the fullback change is when you put, and there you see Owen Daniels getting that left ankle that he rolled up last week. When you make a fullback change, Bernstein is so good blocking in air. How much work is there for Presley, who's a converted tailback, to become a lead blocker?
Well, and that's one thing that he's really got to work on is every single day in practice, watching the film quite a bit and making sure that he seals down in there. And then, as you saw there on the screen, talking to Bernstein and making sure what he sees is the same thing that Presley's seen, because he is so solid getting to that second level and sprinting Calhoun free.
Could be a passing situation on 2nd and 13. Single back. Instead, it's a stretch to Booker Stanley, and he'll get nothing. So Indiana's defense, which has had its moments this year, they've been pretty good, holding Kentucky a week ago to just 77 yards on the ground and just over 200 yards in total offense. And they are, although even with that performance, they're 104th in the NCAA in rushing defense. They've come out and stoned a couple of times on Calhoun, and they're on Booker. So it's 3rd and long.
You know darn well that that coaching staff over there has challenged those guys to make sure they can shut down Wisconsin's running game.
And I'm remiss in not mentioning Indiana did not play last week, so they had plenty of time to prepare, and they come on a blitz, and it's thrown behind and short of Jonathan Orr. Stocco hung in there as long as he could, but took a shot from 2 blitzers on the play, and Wisconsin will punt.
And 2 blitzers that came right over center, and again, Raiola's hurting a little bit. He's not able to make the checks or pick up things as he probably normally did, but comes right up the middle. 2 guys come scot-free, and Stocco does a good job of getting the ball off, but he's got no chance but to try and get it down so nobody can catch it.
One of the most valuable weapons the Badgers have is on the field. That's him right there, Ken DeBush. 7 punts inside the 20. This one will come from his own 45. He'll hit it at about the 35. Line drive and a deep one. If it takes a good bounce, he's going to pin him deep. And it does. Man, oh man, has he been good.
I tell you, when you look at DeBush, 52-yard punt right there. Unbelievable, knowing the skill that the return men have for Indiana right here. And again, Hampton getting downfield. We saw last week, we've seen in the first 3 games of the year, non-conference stuff. Those guys have some sort of telepathy going on because it's always going one or the other. And 97 yards here, they got to drive again. It's a tremendous offensive weapon, as you mentioned.
You don't usually count on those when you're punting from your own 45-yard line, but Ken DeBush has been a tremendous weapon. And Indiana takes over offensively. The quarterback is Blake Powers, and his tailback is Chris Taylor. Taylor gets it off the right edge and over the line of scrimmage and into the secondary at very close to a first down.
Taylor's very strong for Indiana. He's 5'11", 220 pounds. He's a load coming through there.
Had 176 yards against Kentucky last week. Set Indiana's offense here. Powers is the quarterback. He is behind an offensive line that is 330, 315, 310, 305, and 310 across the front. And his receiver, his best receiver, is a basketball player, James Hardy, who averaged 10 minutes a game for Indiana and Mike Davis on the hardwoods last year. It is a first down, ball marked at the 14, and Taylor comes to the near side, hops it to the outside, takes a shot at the boundary, and might pick up 2. Badgers defense has been very stingy of late. Even with all the injuries up front, Joe Monty has been a steady, consistent force. Matt Shaughnessy on the other end has also been very good as a freshman. Watkins, Zalewski, and Sanders. Zalewski and Sanders, the 2 top tacklers on the defense. Langford, Rogers, Stellmacher, and Bell, although you will see plenty of Johnny White. We weren't sure at game time if Stellmacher would step out on the field to start it. Indiana, 2nd and 6. Baker throws to the right and underthrew his target, going to Marcus Thigpen, and he missed him just short.
And Johnny White is out there for the Badger secondary. On that particular play, Bell's got to come over there, man-to-man coverage. A little help from the safety actually underneath that time. Bell coming over the top, but they got crossed up, and lucky for the Badgers, that was underthrown by Indiana. Otherwise, that could have gone for a long way.
Stellmacher is on the Badgers sideline and dressed, but he's wearing a baseball cap. So I don't know that Joe Stellmacher is going to see a whole lot of action today. Badgers run Rowan out there, but too late. Now he comes back to the sideline on 3rd and 6. Baker in the shotgun. Looking near side, lobbing it up for the corner. Intended for the target, incomplete. He was going to James Bailey. And the coverage on the outside by Roderick Rogers is good enough with Brett Bell to force an Indiana punt.
Yeah, Roderick Rogers and then Johnny White coming over the top. I think they were trying to get Rowan out there instead of Rogers to go man-to-man coverage on him, and just couldn't get him out there. He started a little too late.
Well, we talk about how great of a weapon Ken DeBush is, but how about the weaponry that you have in Brandon Williams back there to receive? On punt returns, 9 tries, an average of 18.7 yards, and 1 touchdown on punt returns this year. That's a high floater. What a good punt that is. And Williams catches but has no room. That was a beautiful punt and a good catch, 56 yards by the punter.
Good coverage down there by Indiana, number 9, Tracy Porter, who's a cornerback. A lot of times you see teams use defensive backs and defensive players as the sprinters because they're used to breaking down and making those tackles in the open field.
See Beatty, Tyson Beatty, who had averaged just over 40 yards a punt, but has had very few of them return because he gets such very good hang time, and that was certainly an example of that.
Yeah, there's certain times in the kicking game, and primarily I guess the punt team, where if you have a solid punter that can kick 50-60 yards, that's fine. But if it's a line drive, you never allow your coverage team to get down there. In that particular case, with hang time of probably 4.5 seconds right there, that allows those sprinters and the rest of the guys to get down there and cover and break down and make sure you fill in the alleys where you're supposed to.
Look at, go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's all right. The distance, I guess, with these 2 first punts that we've seen, it's going to be a ball position game starting off right away with those 2 guys having a big factor in that.
Look at Brian Calhoun a moment ago down on the field and seeing what kind of load he has carried. He has had a tremendous start. Calhoun is 4th in the NCAA in all-purpose yards at over 192 a game. But let's compare him to Ron Dane. When Dane was a freshman, he eased his way into the lineup. Didn't play a lot early and played a lot more as the season went on. But you can see very favorable comparisons. The one that jumps out at me, Nelly, is receiving yards. Yeah. Calhoun is a multi-purpose weapon.
Yeah, and I think after Dane left, they started to do that a little bit more with the running backs, with Michael Bennett and Anthony Davis, trying to get that to him. But those 2 guys even aren't to the caliber of what Brian Calhoun is. And granted, that's Dane's freshman year. Carl McCullough was still here at that time. Dane, like you said, gradually worked into it. The difference with Brian is he's been in the fire before out of Colorado, now for 4 games out here for Wisconsin. He's a little bit more mature, and he's able to do a few other things, refine his game plan, so to speak.
Badgers like to get something going offensively. Calhoun has carried it 3 times for 12 yards. Most of that yardage coming on 1 big play. It was about 15 yards. He lost yards on his other 2 touches. Also has one catch for 14 yards, so he has been the offense, at least was on the first series. Again, Chris Presley is in at fullback as Matt Bernstein is on the sidelines and not in uniform for this one. Badgers go to Presley, a converted tailback and a true sophomore. Stocko with a fake and a blitz coming and throwing deep up over the middle. Has Orr open at the 40 to the 25-yard line. What a good throw by John Stocko.
Right on the money for a 40-yard pass right there. Orr, a tremendous job locating the ball, coming up underneath it. Got tackled at the end, but a great job that way. The thing that impressed me most, again, Raiola got beat because he's hurt a little bit. Stocko held in there, released the ball, and as he threw it, got hit, but perfect strike.
Jonathan Orr's 9th catch of the year. That one good for 46 yards.
Some of the flashes we saw as a freshman. Starting to get back into it again as a senior now.
1st and 10 of the Indiana 25. That came off of another blitz, and Calhoun on the delay up the middle gets the 22, picks up maybe 3 on the play.
Stop at number 43, Killian.
This is going to change some game plan for him, having Presley in there. Daniels is still out. Raiola's dinged up a little bit. You got some guys that I think you see some of the effect that a physical game like Michigan have, how hard it is to recover from that. I mean, you got another big, strong defensive line in Indiana coming at you again. The physical part of the game is hard for those guys to recover from.
It is 2nd down at 7. Again, Presley the lead back for Calhoun. 2 receivers, 1 each side. And Raiola gets it to Stocko. Now Calhoun bounces to the outside. Cuts it back. What a move that is. He'll get to the 12-yard line on an absolute beautiful cutback, which got him an extra 6 or 7 yards.
Yeah, and actually, on that particular play, he's supposed to follow Presley up in simple dive lead. He recognized that was mashed up. I got to get outside, and you see the speed they can do there, and yet how he can stop on the dime, turn up field, and go, recognizing that Posiak's there to seal off a block for him and get a couple extra yards.
I think Barry Alvarez, every time I talked to him last year, he'd get a twinkle in his eye when I asked him about Calhoun and in practice, what he looked like and how much he was looking forward to having him. They had so many injury problems at tailback a year ago. This is a pitch near side. Calhoun had nowhere to go on that one.
Nowhere to go, and I think that was a busted play right from the start. You had center snapping the ball. Not everybody moved except for really Calhoun, and Stocko turning a pitch. Lyman couldn't get out there in time. But you know, when you talk about burying that twinkle in his eye, I think he got fired up because of how good a defense they had last year. He saw what Calhoun could do to them every single week during scout team, and when you can do that against the caliber defense they had, coaches recognized that in a hurry. They were just waiting for him to get out there.
A loss of 5 on the play. 2nd and 15. Balls at the 17-yard line against the 4-man defensive front for Indiana. Double stack receiver to the top. Stocko with some time. Steps up over the middle. Shot the end zone. That could have been for Brandon Williams or Jonathan Orr. It missed both.
Missed both, and Williams had the best shot at that. Probably was underthrown for Orr, but usually when you have 2 receivers in the same spot there, one guy ran a wrong route, and I'm not sure who that would have been, but yeah, Williams coming underneath and Orr up in the end zone there, going basically on a post pattern, but usually that means one guy got the wrong read or the wrong count on his route.
It is 3rd and 15. Big play here for the Badgers. Like to be successful in the red zone. You like to punch it into the red part of the end zone. It is 3rd and 15. Little early movement, no flag on the play. Stocko over the middle, got Brandon Williams, got a Wisconsin touchdown. And that is Brandon Williams' first touchdown catch since October 4th, 2003. Nearly 2 full years to the day. That one came against Penn State. This was a beauty on a one-on-one route, and Stocko delivered on the money.
Good extra point. Great way to start out. 7-0 right now. And coaches, I think, on the couple plays before were setting up some of those things to see what Indiana was doing in the red zone as far as their coverage. Recognizing a few things as Williams is coming underneath and recognizing they could get man-to-man coverage, single coverage on Williams, and he's too fast to let somebody handle himself like that. Waiting for safety help over the top that never came. Williams is a smaller target compared to Orr, but he goes after and he gets it, and he's hungry for the end zone. He's an electrifying player.
It's a little late help from the safety. and it was a one-on-one coverage against Tracy Porter. He beat Porter and gets the end zone for Wisconsin. Good opening drive. Well, second effort of the game as far as the drive goes for the Badgers, but it's done primarily through the air. That drive for Wisconsin is 6 plays, 72 yards, 2 minutes and 26 seconds, and a touchdown for the Badgers as they go in the air to Brandon Williams for the score.
You know, when you look at, although it's very early, just a few minutes into the game here, your punt team is still solid from last week, and I guess the beginning of the year for that matter. Your defense came out, held them to 49 seconds of possession, got on the field, got off the field, and your offense gets out there and starts a drive, isn't able to capitalize on the first one, but coming back out, not panicking, just going out. Hey, all we got to do is keep driving down the field, play after play. They're going to stop us a few times. As long as we get more positive than they do, we're going to be okay. And it's good to see them starting to open things up as far as the passing game a little bit, because I think they can stretch things as defenses pack in to stop Calhoun in the run.
Starting to give more for teams to game plan for as well, as they show a little bit of success here early in the air. Let's tell you about Purdue coming to town. They'll do that in just a few weeks. In fact, 3 weeks from today. It's a 2-week road trip for the Badgers. After visits to Northwestern and Minnesota, Wisconsin is home for homecoming against the Purdue Boilermakers. 3 weeks from today, Saturday, October 22nd, against Purdue, and you'll catch it all right here, 10:30 that Saturday night on Wisconsin Public Television. It is this is obviously a big game, Scott, and Indiana's unbeaten, and for the first time they're 3-0 since 1994, trying to get to 4-0 for the first time since 1990 under rookie head coach Terry Hepner. Big game for Indiana. For Wisconsin, it's a matter of managing some of the emotion, managing the preparation to get ready after 2 emotional games. And not to look by this, but 2 very big contests on the road the next 2 weeks at Northwestern and at Minnesota. The kickoff is fielded deep in the end zone, and Taylor Melhoff does his job again for Wisconsin, getting the touchback. But 2 weeks, the next 2 weeks for Wisconsin, if they can do what they have to do today, the next 2 weeks will, in many regards, dictate their season.
Oh, absolutely. Assuming they take care of business here today against Indiana, come out with a win. But going to Northwestern, it's always been a difficult place for the Badgers to play against a pretty explosive Northwestern offense. And then going up to Minnesota, who's shown in Maroney, they've got a very talented running back as well. They knocked off Purdue last week. A big game for them this week against Penn State. A lot of things in the next couple weeks are going to shake out for the Big Ten.
Baker hands, and he gives it to the tailback through. That's Chris Taylor. Taylor bounces off 1, but just maybe gets 2 yards on the play. Badgers going with that secondary, a little bit of a change. Johnny White is in at safety in front of Stellmacher, who I mentioned earlier is dressed, but it doesn't look like he's ready to play. Brett Bell on one corner, Alan Langford the other, and Roderick Rogers is the other safety.
And White just needs to be consistent like he did last week, filling in the run, covering down on pass. He had a tremendous game against Michigan last week.
There you see Stellmacher with a cap on, 16, right behind Ryan Murphy. Throw on the wide receiver slant on the right edge is high above the mark, intending for Brandon Walker-Roby, who just has 1 catch this year, and that one too high, and it brings up a 3rd and long.
And on that particular play, even had he caught that, he was going nowhere. Tremendous recognition by the defense there for Wisconsin. They had everybody covered down. The guy that was supposed to be on him recognized it, came up and gave him a lick. That's one where the receiver runs back to the huddle. You better get that down, because don't lay me out like that again.
Badgers one of the best in Big Ten with 14 sacks, 30 tackles for losses in their first 4 weeks. See if they can get a little pressure on Baker and tee off on him here. Baker goes out of the shotgun with a blitz, flag down before the snap, and that very likely could be a delay of the game. I wasn't looking at the clock, but from where the flag was thrown and the play being stopped.
False start. 76-74 offense. 5-yard penalty.
2 linemen moved
Still
early for
foul.
Indiana. Now it is 3rd and 13, and see if Wisconsin goes after him hard here.
You got 76-74. They both called them.
Did you see anything?
I didn't see that there, no.
I saw nothing.
That's your tackle and your center. If those are the 2 numbers he called, but I didn't see him move.
They talked this week in Indiana. They played music. They played loud noise during practice and had their offensive linemen holding hands to until the ball is snapped, so they don't go early, but it didn't work on that case. Baker from the shotgun. He has some time, steps up now. Hey, the defensive back, Brett Bell, falls down. And this one might go the distance to Hardy. To the 5 and a touchdown for Indiana as Brett Bell fell down and had no deep help. 83 yards on the quick strike for Indiana.
You know, the Badgers have been lucky all season long on getting beat deep in the secondary. Guys jumping certain routes, not making good cuts. That particular play, Bell slips, which as a veteran senior that way, you would hope he wouldn't do. Sometimes those things happen, but yet on those particular things, they're in what's called zero coverage. Every single defensive back has a guy they have to cover man to man. By the time you release off your guy and chasing down the field with his speed, there's no way you're going to catch Hardy.
For Hardy, it's his 4th touchdown catch of the year. He has been the favorite receiver for Baker. And Indiana quiets the crowd here, and the extra point is good. It makes it a 7-7 ball game on an 83-yard touchdown pass from Baker to Hardy. And Nelly, as we'll look at this again, no safety in the area. They came from the other side of midfield trying to get an angle on him, but there was no deep help at all.
Yeah, and what I mentioned before in zero coverage, basically man-to-man, everybody has somebody that they're covering. They're covering over the top on the strong side where the main receivers are, much like Wisconsin did with Williams, trying to get him single coverage man-to-man. Exactly what they did there. I'm surprised they went right at Bell, but they must have seen something with his footwork or with his tendency to jump things watching film throughout the year, and they got him to bite in a perfect strike by the quarterback.
So we're tied at 7. With 7:48 to play in the first quarter, and Indiana strikes back after Wisconsin had a good sustained drive. Indiana does it on a long 3rd down. Let's talk about the last time these two teams met here at Camp Randall. It was much of what you just saw, but it was all Indiana that day, and it came from the very early moments of that one where Indiana had a 30-point advantage in the first quarter and went on to absolutely annihilate Wisconsin, shocking them at Camp Randall Stadium. The final score that year was Indiana winning 63-32, as you see. And it happened from all sides of the field, Nelly. There were special teams, there were turnovers, there were long touchdown runs, there were long touchdown catches, blocked punts. I mean, anything you wanted to see, it all went the other way. It was 32-0 at the end of 15 minutes.
Yeah, and that happens in a hurry. A lot of times, you know, you can't explain why those things happen no matter what side you're on. Why does everything fall apart for the Badgers, and why did everything click for the Hoosiers that particular game? But, you know, that's why when you get out there, you never know what's going to happen. This team is explosive. They in this last play going 80 yards for a touchdown. They've got some talent. They're in the Big Ten. They recruit top caliber athletes, and those guys aren't afraid to walk into a place like this and play against Wisconsin. Even though they beat Michigan last week, they don't care what are you going to do this week.
As a veteran with Brett Bell on the corner, knowing that he's going to have his safety rolling the other way, what would he have had to do? Are you're going to be softer in that coverage?
Well, in that particular case, you ought to be a little bit softer, knowing you guys going the other side, because if they break and you fall down, you got to give yourself a little cushion to recover on that. He had really good man-to-man coverage, tight on that, but when he did slip, that separation happened. He had no help over the top then. A lot of times you'll see it, they call it bump or off coverage, and if you bump and run with that, you guys right up on the line. When you're off, you're about 5 or 6 yards off of it.
Kick is deep, 5 yards deep, and Williams will bring it out. He comes towards the near edge, cuts it up the gap, and gets just outside the 20. So it pays off by about a yard. That's always a risky play. He was midway through the end zone, and there's C. Starr. He's the man that handles kicking duties on the kickoffs for Indiana. It is Kleinsmith who does the field goal kicking and the extra point work.
Yeah, we'll have to watch a little bit too, Mike. Williams, after that last punt return, he got rocked there. This time he got hit pretty good. He's holding his left side a little bit, so we'll watch him through the game here.
5 receivers and a shotgun set for the Badgers. One of those receivers in the slot left is Brian Calhoun. Stocco with a lot of time. Now Flush comes near side under pressure. He's outside of the tackle box and gets it over the line of scrimmage. So it's just incomplete, and it brings up 2nd and 10.
And no Owen Daniels on that. You got Poziak going on out. You got Nellis going out. So I'm not sure if we're going to see him again today.
Stocko had time. Call that a coverage, very good coverage by Indiana, because initially Stocko had his prescribed time to throw it and couldn't find an open receiver. So it brings up a 2nd and 10, and Booker Stanley behind Presley in the Badger backfield. Kind of a quiet crowd at Camp Randall, especially considering the noise level last week against Michigan. Stanley with a good bounce to the outside, but an equally good shoestring tackle by Indiana.
With 39, Will Myers came up from a safety position on that. A lot of times you'll see a defense keep a safety up over the top, especially when you have twins to the other side. That's his responsibility then to come up and fill off that corner. Does a good job against a very solid running back for the Badgers, wrapping him up and bringing him down.
It's 3rd and 9. Badgers converted on their last 3rd down. They're 1 of 2 on the day. Their last 3rd down was a touchdown play of 17 yards to Williams. This time from their own 22, slot back to the right. And a blitz coming off the corner. And to Williams, what a great catch. Brandon Williams just stole that ball out of the hands of the Indiana defense. What a great catch by the Badger senior from St. Louis, who gets a big 1st down.
That's just a lot of poise on his part, coming across the middle that way, doing a quick little slant route like that. And it's like a gift, I guess you'd say. Defensive back for Indiana almost knocked it away, but Williams, tremendous poise in there, making sure he secures the ball, realizing he has it, turning upfield for more yards.
Aaron Mitchell had a chance for the pick, and Brandon Williams just flat out stole it from him. 1st down at the 43, and a delay up the middle. That is a pickup of about 3 for Booker Stanley. So they're really shuttling in Booker and Brian Calhoun in the early going of this. Calhoun with 6 rushes for 20 yards and 1 catch for 14. There's Brandon Williams on his side getting looked at by the Badger training staff.
You know, one thing that Calhoun did last week, he got stronger and stronger as the game went on. I don't know if the coaches are trying to save him a little bit here, give him a little bit more rest when they can, but Stanley so far is fielding very nicely.
2nd down at 6. High backfield. And he'll throw. And again, under some pressure, comes near side for Booker and just bounced it. Again, Stocko getting pressure from the outside. That time it was Russ Richardson on a stunt who came around the outside to get pressure on Stocko. And there you see Ben Ishola, who's getting pressure on the quarterback too.
And that's just coming off the right corner there. Craig Urbeck, the tackle, right tackle for Wisconsin, just got beat. Just a lot of strength from Richardson coming off the corner and forcing him down into the quarterback.
It's another 3rd down, this time 3rd and 6. Ishola, you see, is one of their better players getting in behind the line of scrimmage. A couple of tackles for losses and a sack on the year. Stocko up over the middle. Wide open Brandon Williams right off the training table and out on the field to convert his third down conversion of the afternoon already.
And he's a guy that they're going to rely on more and more as the season goes on. He had a really great game against Purdue last year, kind of his coming out party that season. Coming into this game and tremendous hands and responsibility football right there for him. I think that was all set up by the offensive line. There was a stunt going on called a nose tackle stunt. Nose goes first, the tackle comes around. Raiola picked it up tremendously, gave Stocko room to throw.
1st down at the Indiana 40. Badgers on a good drive here. Stocko will go to pass. Looking up over the middle again, Brandon Williams. Oh, they found a mismatch. He's got it at the 21-yard line. He's working against Leslie Majors on the right corner, and Majors is no matchup right now for Brandon Williams. He's beating him.
And tremendous protection again up front for Stocko to look around. He recognizes Williams coming open, and perfect strike right on the numbers, and Williams does what he does so well, is catch the ball and turn upfield.
Williams now with 4 catches and 71 yards here with 5 minutes to play in the 1st quarter. Ball just outside the Indiana 20-yard line and a 1st down. And a flag and a whistle before the snap here.
That's going to be Brandon Wright offsides for Wisconsin.
Ball start number 8 into the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
Bill Lamagna making the call. He is the referee today, flanked by Rick Nelson, Rick Kruger, Julius Livis, Bob Sagers, John Lusovinsky, Tom Herbert, and the, oh, he's way off. He's well offside now, isn't he?
I was watching the line judge that recognized that, and he was thinking, okay, I know he's off. I got to find my flag to throw it here. I think he was shocked that he was that far over and didn't recognize.
1st and 15. Tailback through. Calhoun hops into the outside, has to beat the man in the corner. Always does a good job of lowering that shoulder instead of just running out of bounds and picking up the extra yard or two.
Yeah, and that's what he tries to do, is tries to get that extra yard or two. The one thing he's got to be careful of is because of the pounding through the course of the Big Ten season, there's going to be times where he's going to have to go out of bounds so he doesn't continue to get hit that way. But his power and strength and speed allows him to do certain things that other running backs can't do.
So it brings up 2nd, and they got the original line of scrimmage, so call it 2nd and 10. Stocko checks out the defense behind center Donovan Raiola. Captain in his senior year from Honolulu. Under pressure, went for Posiak on the near side. Fans wanted a holding call. Didn't get it against Troy Grossfield, and it's incomplete. And Posiak is the only Indiana native on the Badger football team.
And that was pretty close to a defensive holding there by Indiana. You'll see him coming right in the middle, the lower left-hand part of your screen. Guess he didn't grab him. He was just fighting in there for position. That was pretty good no call on that.
Guess Indiana has made it their mission today to bring all types of blitz packages against John Stocko.
Yeah, and the offensive line, again, Raiola's hurt a little bit, so they're recognizing that, and they're coming at him with every single angle, knowing he can't cover it as well as he used to.
Again, moving up front and a safety blitz. They ISO on the left side. Underthrown for Calhoun, who nearly stole it away from the cover man. Calhoun nearly took that away from the defender, who is Adianju. Victor Adianju. There's a mismatch, huh? The defensive end trying to cover Calhoun. And it got in Calhoun's hands.
Tell you that having your defensive end cover a running back with that speed that way, that's taking a huge risk. But
the blitz forced John to throw it early, and he didn't get enough air under it. Didn't float it far enough. Melhoff on a field goal, perfect last week, and that one is good. Taylor Melhoff has been very, very good on field goals. 3 crucial ones a week ago. He's now 5 of 6 on the year in field goal attempts.
And that consistency is one thing that got recognized by the coaching staff last week, and definitely by Coach Alvarez, because they know how important that is. Even though if they can't drive down and get first downs in the red zone to score touchdowns, they know they've got confidence in their kicker to at least get 3 points out of it.
Melhoff went to a kicking camp this summer, an elite kicking camp, and came out of it a changed kicker. In the spring practice, Barry was very disappointed in Melhoff and really felt like he had problems in the kicking game. And Melhoff went to that camp on his own this summer, and it's made a big difference.
It has. And some of those things that get pointed out in camps like that are things that are very subtle. You know, planting your plant foot, the way your leg is coming through when you follow through, the point of the ball that you focus on to kick. The other thing that he's got going for him is a holder that's very consistent in placing the ball, so each and every time it's the same thing, much like a golf swing.
Golf. You a golfer?
I'm a summer golfer, you know, summer here, summer there.
Oh, yes. 11 plays, 58 yards, 4 minutes and 5 seconds on the drive, and a field goal is good by Melhoff, so Wisconsin regains the lead at 10-7. That was a 38-yard field goal for Melhoff, who will put a foot into it from the 35. High floater going to make the goal line, where it's caught by Indiana, coming out of the end zone from the line and to the 20-yard line, maybe the 21, and a late flag coming in from the line judge on the near side, almost always against the receiving team, which would back Indiana up.
Good coverage again by the Wisconsin kickoff coverage team. It's like a block in the back there coming in as the kicking team starts to fold in, cover down on their lanes and keep it inside in front on their shoulder. A lot of times you'll see that the kick team or return team have to make adjustments, and with that speed coming down, they can't cover that way.
Terry Hepner giving the officials a little business on the side. He's pretty deep out onto the field. I think they call that on 25,
yep.
right? The block in the back coming
just
in from the left-hand side of the screen.
Yep.
Right there.
Yep.
2 fouls on the play. Fly ball foul. Illegal block in the back, number 25. Half the distance to the goal. Following the play, dead ball. Personal foul, late hit. Number 83 on the offense. Half the distance to the goal. First down, Indiana.
Terry Hepner better watch it or he's going to get another flag. He's a little hot. He's going to need a new headset. And he's going to get a flag here, isn't he?
I certainly hope so.
That's about as much as you can do without getting a flag. In fact, it's probably more than I've ever seen a coach do without getting a flag.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised. Once he took his headset and threw that side judge didn't flag him for another 15.
Well, and this is probably a good move by Hepner. I mean, he's going to need a new headset. There's no doubt about that. But he's going to get he's got the attention of his players.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
The late hit comes here from the left.
Just going off the left side of the screen.
And it came against James Kamoku, who on the opening kickoff also had a little extra, or on the kickoff after the Badgers' first touchdown, had a little extra with the same man.
Yep.
So I believe that kind of precipitated this one. Brett Bell goes down late, and the Badgers wanted a flag on that one. I think Hepner might have imploded.
Well, Brett Bell's going down there on that number 2 Marcus Thigpen, if we can see that at the bottom of the screen here. But Watkins comes in, does a nice job and filling in off the corner, making the tackle. And this is one thing where, as a defense, you're playing on this emotion that way. And if you can keep going at them, you're used to this aggressiveness. The offense is a little bit more subtle with stuff because they have so many reads to make. This plays perfectly in the defensive hands.
2nd down and 7. Badgers a little confused defensively, still confused. Indiana has a mismatch on the option, and he doesn't pitch it. There was only 2 cover corners on the near side of the field with 3 receivers and not even a safety slotted. So Badgers got away with the defensive alignment mistake, and it brings up 3rd and 4.
Yeah, you get White and Rogers. They went right to each other to figure out where the coverage mistake was. I think they want White down and covering and Rogers back in the support for run, but got very lucky. They called an option to the other side. They had a guy there for the pitch and for the quarterback. They covered that very well, considering it was all messed up from the beginning.
And again,
trouble with substitution. Yeah,
they're having a lot of problems from the sideline in the early going. Jack Ikegwanu on as the Badgers go to 5 defensive backs and 2 linebackers on this 3rd and 4.
And they're coming.
Baker looks right side, well covered by Brett Bell, and the throw is high, and Indiana will punt.
Good pressure up front, great coverage in the secondary. Every single Indiana receiver had a defensive back on him. Both linebackers coming up the middle. Good pickup, but he had to throw it in a hurry. And a lot of times your receivers can't finish the route by the time he had to throw.
So Brandon Williams again back deep, hoping to get a chance. That first punt was very good by Tyson Beatty. First punt was 54 yards. And that one's a beauty. Turns it over, and Williams this time has a little room from his own 38, and he's got a gap and a seam near side to the 30 and to the house. No flags down. Touchdown, Brandon Williams. .63 yards for Brandon Williams, his 2nd punt return for a touchdown this season.
I tell you, within the first quarter, minute and a half left in this quarter, Brandon Williams, 4 catches, 71 yards, 1 TD. That touchdown right there for a punt return, how explosive he is and how important he is. The best thing, if we can watch that on a replay after the kick here, you'll see a guy from Indiana coming in, defensive or the cover guy for them, turning the corner and the blocking back for Wisconsin, laying off, knowing I can't hit him in the back and let Williams do what he does so best, and that's run the ball.
Extra point is good. And the Badgers have taken control now at 17-7, still with 1:39 to play in the first.
I'll tell you, he's a true talent. One of the things that the quarterback or that Stockton wants to do is get that into his hands. Coaches want to get in his hands. Right there you see Kamoku, I think that was number 20, laid off his guy and let Williams use his speed and turn it upfield. Simple move, juke the kicker out, turned up through a huge alley and scored. That was a tremendous run.
Ben Strickland, the other, number 3, makes a great block down the field right there.
Yep.
On the kicker. It's always easier to hit a kicker.
Yeah, much easier. especially when he doesn't see it coming. That was partly set up by Williams, bending in a little bit towards midfield and then breaking it back out. Allowed him to make that block. And Strickland, who's on all the special teams that way, takes great pride in blocking for those guys. And I think as he does it now the second time this year, the punt return team, hey, anytime that we get on our guy, he can take it to the house. We got to make sure we tighten things up and do it right. And so far today, they've done a tremendous job.
Williams' second touchdown return of the year. He had one of 66 yards earlier in the season, and this one again for the Badgers from that same range. Williams finding it for 63 yards, and it's 17-7 Wisconsin.
That'll get him up there, 252 yards on the year, almost a 23-yard average. That's going to move him up in the rankings in the Big Ten and nationally.
Melhoff, low liner, going to bounce at the 5, fielded at the goal line by Indiana. Outside of the 18 to the 20, and breaking a tackle and getting to the right sideline. Indiana will start from their own 21-yard line.
Seems like on this kickoff, there's always a little extra pushing and shoving going on, and guys being excited about running down the field. But coaches always talk about no stupid penalties. You want to get anything like that. You saw how that affected Indiana. You don't want one of those on Wisconsin and send them the other way now.
Lance Bennett on the return, and the yards in this game aren't especially disparate, a big disparity right now. Wisconsin has 8 first downs, Indiana 2. Total yards in the game so far, Wisconsin 160 and Indiana 107, but time of possession is almost 6 full minutes in favor of the Badgers. Baker rolls near side, takes a hit from Shaughnessy and misses his man on the near sideline trying to get it to Thigpen.
Thigpen's been hit a couple different times. That time he's rolling out. Shaughnessy shows what Coach Palermo likes about this kid. He's a quick learner. Even though he's really young, he gets in there and he mixes it up quite a bit. As a freshman, you don't see a lot of times a guy can react that way, but gets upfield, lays a shot on the quarterback, forced him to throw early and misfire on that particular play.
6'6", 225, and a freshman from Norwich, Connecticut. So that Northeastern pipeline paying dividends with Shaughnessy, who's got 4 full seasons of play, looking in straight in the eye. Baker on a quarterback draw, and he's buried right at the line of scrimmage. Joe Monty, I believe, in on the play.
Joe Monty, I think Nick Hayden made the first contact.
Yep.
Shaughnessy comes back down, and on that play there too, glad they went to a quarterback draw. They had on that particular one, I think it was Langford single coverage over here about the 20-yard line. Tremendous job by Hayden, though, recognizing that, getting off his block and making a tackle.
And Nick Hayden, he's a sophomore from Heartland, 302 pounds.
Big boy.
Another big third down here.
Yeah, you got Langford exposed again, but you got the safety coming over the top to cheat a little bit and help.
Langford gets a bump. Now Baker flushed right. Throws against the grain, and it's intercepted. It's intercepted by Roderick Rogers. No Jack Ikegwonu on the interception. And the Madison Memorial product gets it back again for Wisconsin.
Tremendous play there. Again, you got the safety cheating over to Langford, so it's single one-on-one coverage for those guys. Ikegwonu doing a tremendous job of keeping the guy on his hips, seeing the ball thrown and making a break. He's powerful and he's explosive. He's almost 200 pounds, but he's very, very fast for as big as he is.
And they, whoever they are, always say to quarterbacks, don't roll one way and throw it back the other.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing to do. And when you look at that stuff, and especially when you got guys that are hungry and feeding off this right now.
Calhoun is dragged down behind the line, but it's going to be 15 yards. That's probably a personal foul, face mask, because it appeared that the Indiana defender didn't let go. It's not the incidental. We'll see what the call is.
Couldn't tell if that was 62 or 92 on that particular play for Indiana, but you're right. He did not let go on that. Pretty simple with Calhoun. He's been here before. He gets up. He
personal foul, face mask. Number 62 on the defense. Half the distance from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
You know, Calhoun didn't get up. He didn't mix it up. He just gets, he's very workmanlike. He acts like he's been there before, and read a couple articles on him over the last couple weeks. Seems like a tremendous young man, and he gets in the end zone, he gets a first down where he flips the ball back to the official, and hey, I've done this before. It's just something that's out of respect for those guys and respect for the game. And I think the offense likes that. You don't see a whole lot of mix and match. They just get up there and they take care of business.
Brandon Williams on that punt return for a touchdown becomes only the 4th Wisconsin player ever to return 2 punts for a touchdown in the same season. Nobody's ever done it 3 times. Calhoun on the delay gets the 10. Williams now joining Earl Gerard of 1947, Nick Davis of 98, and Jim Leonard of 2003. All of them had 2 touchdowns on punt returns, and Williams still has a bunch of games looking in front of him with a chance to get more. We've played 1 quarter. Badgers holding a 10-point lead after 15 minutes. It is Wisconsin 17 and Indiana 7. Back for the second half. You're watching Badger football on Wisconsin Public Television.
Celebrate one of the greatest memories.
Thank you for watching Wisconsin Public Television. Now let us know what you think about the program you've just watched or any of our programs by calling 1-800-253-1158 or by emailing us at comments@wpt.org. Wisconsin Public Television belongs to you. Thanks for letting us know what you think.
The whole thing is emerging, as it were, out of the jungle. It's fantastic. What we don't know is what happened to all the people. The answer, I think, lies out there in the jungle.
They're all collaborating in this.
Sunday night at 7 on Wisconsin Public Television. You're watching Wisconsin Public Television, your place to grow through learning.
Presentation of Badger football on Wisconsin Public Television is made possible in part by Goodman's Jewelers. John Hayes of Goodman's Jewelers, proud of the tradition started by Robert and Irwin Goodman. Goodman's Jewelers, the diamond store of Madison since 1933. News Talk 1310 WIBA AM and ESPN 1070. The Badgers play here. The Mendota Gridiron Club, the official fundraising organization for University of Wisconsin football. University Athletic Department, with official information about Badger athletics on the web. The Wisconsin Alumni Association, connecting, enriching, and serving UW-Madison alumni and friends for more than 140 years. UWalumni.com. And by the Badger Fund, the Wisconsin Athletic Department's annual fundraising program, 14,000 donors, supporting 750 Badger student athletes.
Back for the second quarter. Wisconsin already in scoring position and leading it 17-0. It is Stocco under center and Presley in front of Brian Calhoun in the backfield. 2nd and 7. And Stocco gives to Calhoun, who bounces but finds nothing. Indiana has done one thing very well so far today, Nelly, and that is shut down the Badger rushing attack.
Yeah, and some of that I think is set up with the pass that Wisconsin's doing. They're blitzing at different times, and they're still coming at the blitz. Doesn't really matter whether it's a running or passing play. They're filling in the gaps very nicely, and you got a lot of big, wide bodies for Indiana up there. Their 2 ends, I think, are the strong suit of that line, and when they try and bounce outside, they're very good at shutting blocks and forcing them back inside.
Badgers have taken full advantage in the air with 160 or 132 yards rather in the air. Most of that coming with 71 yards from Brandon Williams on 4 catches. And Stocco again under blitz pressure, left side. Who's that guy? Who's that guy? Brandon Williams for a Wisconsin touchdown. If
Very
you're going to
simple.
have a day, have a day.
I tell you, it almost seems too simple for him on the punt returns. Getting a good job bringing it out deep in the end zone for a 22 or 23-yard gain for a kickoff return. Multiple catches, 2 touchdowns now receiving, 1 touchdown punt return. I tell you, you're right. If he's having a day today, get him the ball. And I think the coaches are recognizing that. He's getting one-on-one coverage. They'll take advantage every time they can.
Melhoff on the extra point. Mishit it a little bit, it looked like, but he got it straight through. And it is now 24-7. So after Indiana matched the Badgers' first touchdown on an 83-yard touchdown catch, Wisconsin has responded with 17 unanswered, and mainly in the air and on a punt return.
Yeah, if you look at the replay here, Calhoun, tremendous job picking up number 43 for Indiana there. Gave him the alley to throw through. Williams brings it right in the breadbasket, scores 6 points. But you're right, I think they've settled a little bit now. The defense is feeling much more comfortable. I think they really got charged up with after that kickoff return with the extra penalties they had. And again, defense feeds off that. The offense just wants to be kind of consistent in what they do, and then they go to town like they're doing right now.
Two elements that I think are also at play on the touchdowns and the success in the air. One is the way the offensive line has handled the blitz package, and two is John Stocco sticking in there, not getting gun shy and putting the ball on the target and taking a hit after.
Yeah, they've done a real good job picking up certain blitzes. There's times where they haven't, and Stocco, you are right. He's been sitting in there knowing the pressure's coming, knows he's going to get hit, and releases the ball right as he does get hit, but he's still able to put it on the mark for the receivers to go get it.
Again, Melhoff will hit it from the 35, getting a good workout here in the first half. That one's going to go deep, and very deep, to the back of the end zone, and no return for Indiana. So the Hoosiers will start at their own 20-yard line, and time of possession continues to grow. Nearly a 6.5-minute advantage for Wisconsin, and we're just underway in the second quarter. Badgers have been the best in the Big Ten in time of possession, and looking to expand upon that advantage here today.
You know, last week against Michigan, they were down in the first half, came on the second half. They really controlled the entire tempo of that second half and turned around for almost about a 10-minute advantage, 9-10-minute advantage against Michigan at the end of last week.
It's 1st and 10 for the Hoosiers at the 20. Single back in the backfield, but Baker looks to throw. Double move, wants to go deep to the outside. Very well covered by Allen Langford, who did not bite on the fake. You know, when you talk about time of possession, Nelly, is a third down statistic the biggest factor in a time of possession? You can look at it, it's just the running game, but there are other elements.
Yeah, I think the third down thing, when you're consistent with that on the defensive side of the ball, forcing him to throw long, get him in a lot of third and long, second and long situations, that gets your defense off the field. If you're able to convert on a third down on the offensive side, that means your drives keeps going. So there's two factors depending upon what side you want, but the lower number or percentage you have on the defense means you're not out there and your offense is.
2nd down and 10, and Baker this time will hand it to the far side, trying to stretch it out. Badgers force a reverse of field and cut down Chris Taylor just about at the line of scrimmage.
I think as a defensive coach, you see Bielema getting excited, tell him, hey, we got to crap up. We got to converge on that. Sanders on that particular play ran all the way to the outside. When he cut back inside, Sanders came in with him. He had Shaughnessy start to hit him, but Sanders is the guy that cleaned him up.
Look at Shaughnessy stay home, too, 92. Now he'll cut back, and he's one of those guys that forces the play back in along with Nick Hayden.
That's just taking good angles, pursuing the football, and staying hungry and getting after it.
3rd down and 8. Indiana 1 of 4 on 3rd down today. Baker from the shotgun. Looks left side. It is intercepted. Langford kept his feet. He's to the 20, to the 14-yard line. Badgers' 2nd interception of the day, and it puts them in ideal scoring position again.
That's 2 plays in a row that Langford has been in perfect position. The last time he didn't bite on the little pump fake, the pump and go. He covered down on the top of that, sealed out the receiver there. That particular play, tremendous job, man coverage, recognizing, coming underneath a little bit. You see him really stretch out here at the end, but he's in perfect position, got in the line of the football and picked it off, and then does a good job turning it back upfield for positive yards.
You can tell why Zalewski's a linebacker and not a lead fullback. He was in perfect position to make a block and never hits anybody.
You just kind of start to search somebody out, and sometimes that's trying to find him isn't the easiest thing to do.
Well, I think all they're going to check on this review is to see if Langford's knee touches on the interception.
And it didn't look like it on that replay there, but you know, he did stretch out a little bit to get there when after he picked off the ball. I think his left leg stretched a little bit, but he planted, gets back upfield, and one of those things you would expect would happen.
There's Baker throwing to the left, and we'll get it back. Lost it there just briefly. You see Baker on the phone. He's got to find some answers because he's just not getting it done. Powers, rather. I've been calling him Baker, I think, all day.
Blake
Powers threw it to the left, and I think his
Video evidence shows following the interception, the runner's knee was down, 33-yard line. First down, Wisconsin, 33.
That last replay we saw there showed that pretty clear, but the speed of the regular game, officials can't do that, which again shows the replay is working for them. Just real simple, get it up there, see the replay, make the decision, and off they go.
So Powers throwing his second interception of the day. Ike Ekwonu and Langford getting the interceptions, and both are freshmen. And Wisconsin now takes over at the 33 instead of inside the 15-yard line. So great field position nonetheless for the Badgers as they start deep in Indiana territory and with a 17-point lead. Herbig might have moved early. Stocco flushed near side, no flag, and he throws it to the linebacker. Oh, I don't know what John was doing there, but it gives the turnover right back to Indiana.
Gives it right back to him, and I think you're right. Herbig did move on that right side, which would have stopped the play. It's unfortunate for the Badgers, but that's a play that Stocco's got to be smart with and understanding what he's doing. Rolling out, I can't throw back across my body. I'm outside the tackle box. Nobody's open. Get it out of bounds. Don't throw it anywhere near anybody.
Good interception, good defensive play made on the outside by Josh Moore, the linebacker, the senior from Hampton, Connecticut. And that is a quick change of possession that gives it right back to Indiana. Talk about some memories here at Camp Randall Stadium. Mike Lucas, longtime writer for the Cap Times and voice of Wisconsin football and basketball as the color commentator on the statewide radio network, put together a book, Camp Randall Memories. It's available now. One of those was back a few years, back before you played, Nelly, back before a lot of us were in the stadium on a regular basis. And it was Randy Wright, Al Toon, Jeff Nault. I think you remember it. Here's Matt LePay.
October 23rd, 1982, facing Illinois in a 4-point deficit in the closing minutes, the Badgers turned to their bag of tricks and called 60 skip pass left. On the play, quarterback Randy Wright takes the snap and delivers a perfect lateral bounce pass to split end Al Toon. Toon hesitates briefly to freeze the Illini defense, while in Jeff Nault slips behind an unsuspecting secondary. Toon then unleashes a perfect 40-yard strike into Nault's waiting arms for the touchdown. More than 20 years later, the play stands as perhaps the single most famous play in Wisconsin football history, and certainly one of Camp Randall's greatest memories.
Before the game today, Nault, or just a short while ago, Nault, Toon, and Randy Wright. Al still looks like he could play, doesn't he?
I think Al, if I remember, last year competed in the Ironman Wisconsin here in Madison.
He did, yeah.
I tell you, tremendous athlete, tremendous track athlete for the Badgers. Randy Wright obviously went on to have a career in the NFL for a short time, and quality people for Dave McClain, just a solid program that he had at that time, and obviously was able to bring in a lot of really, really good players.
First down, Indiana at their own 32-yard line following the interception. First turnover today for Wisconsin. Indiana runs the option, and Powers pitches to the near side, and nothing available for Chris Taylor.
Nowhere for Taylor to go. Actually, he got tackled by his own lineman, Justin Fry, number 60, as he tried to cut back in. But good pursuit. Monty doing what he's supposed to do, seal down on the quarterback. Sanders coming over to get to the pitch, forced him back inside, and again got hit by his own guy.
I think that's the first tackle of the year for Justin Fry.
You think?
Yeah. 6'5", 310 junior from Elwood, Indiana.
It's a pretty good lick.
Yeah, it was a good, solid hit. It is 2nd and 8, Indiana. Blake Powers, the sophomore from Brandenburg, Kentucky. Under center, play action fake, wants to go right sideline. Good double move, it's incomplete. Just off the hands of James Hardy.
Hardy, again, his big receiver out there, number 82. He's a basketball player, but he's 6'7", so he can stretch out for a ball that you do throw out of bounds. Good coverage downfield, top coverage by Bell there and Sanders recognizing, getting out to the flat, forcing a little wider throw than what they could handle.
So Indiana with a 3rd and long. They're 1 of 5 on 3rd down today. This will call it a 3rd and long 8. 3-man defensive front. See if the Badgers come on a blitz. They show it from Watkins and Zalewski, and now Sanders. They all back out. 3-man rush. Powers swings it near side. It's caught, but there's nothing there. And about 8 different Badgers come over and hem in Yamar Washington on the sideline. Indiana will punt again.
Good coverage downfield by the secondary. And a lot of times when you get a quarterback that sees linebackers jumping in and out of there, he's trying to find the release man or the quick hit because he's not sure if it's coming. When they backed out, he had already made up his mind to go there. The other guys didn't clear fast enough, and that's the only place he could go.
Well, let's see if Brandon Williams gets one kicked to him this time. His last touch was a 66-yard, I believe, 66-yard touchdown. Beatty gets a high hanger. Williams will field and return from the 22. And again a seam. And he'll get the 38-yard line. He's got great vision, Nelly, and he's aggressive and going right up the field, too.
Yeah, and that's the first place he does go is straight up, because a lot of times those sprinters will come in, they'll try and hit your shoulder. If you can step up even a half a yard, they'll go right by you. But once he gets up there, his footwork is so quick and so strong. He's low to the ground, so he's got good center of gravity, but he's able to move and shift directions. A lot of times you see his shoulders stay still. His feet are going back and forth, making the moves.
They see coming out here in the north end zone, that's Wisconsin Crew. They got a brand new boathouse this year. They're defending two-time defending national champion Wisconsin women's lightweight rowing team. Last spring, they were the nation's top-ranked team for most of the year. Badgers won their 2nd consecutive national title in June, and the first team national title in any sport since 1995. Got that new Porter boathouse. Kicked off their fall season 2 weeks ago. I think they rode this morning. And, you know, the thing about that Crew team is they used to recruit out of the lines.
Yep.
They used to see that students are all auditioning for opportunities to be on those teams. Every one of the Badger students in that student section, they all want the opportunity to be on the rowing team until they find out the practice is at 5:30 every morning.
And it's cold.
And it's cold.
Yeah, I tell you, it's fun to watch what, through the course of probably the last 10, 12 years of how football has gotten better, hockey and basketball, moving into the Kohl Center and a lot of those things, and how that program, even with the facility, the expectations have gone up. Now with the boathouse, and there's so many things that way. You know, they're talking about the track and soccer complexes, and softball complex is brand new, and that's the excitement of what this athletic department is. There was a few years there where it wasn't down necessarily as far as how good they were, but just the support and the expectations. Now those things have raised the bar a little bit, and the university is backing them.
See the preseason rankings in the Associated Press poll. Who you don't see in there in the rankings, obviously, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Penn State. Michigan State wasn't even receiving votes.
Right. And
here it is this week. Michigan out of the top 25 for the first time since like 1846. I think it's or 1988. One of those two, take your pick. But it's a long time. Ohio State is number 8. Probably deserved to be a little bit better. Iowa is out of the top 25. Wisconsin is in at 17. Michigan State the biggest jump to not even getting votes to being number 11. And Michigan have been in there for like 1,000 straight polls. Coming near side, Calhoun lost his footing trying to cut it back. 114 consecutive AP polls that Michigan was a top 25 team until this week.
Yeah, that's amazing. When you look at them, and Oklahoma had a streak there for a while. They've fallen out. I think Nebraska's been out now. It's, you know, there's a lot of the top programs that you've seen in, you know, late 70s, 80s, and 90s that aren't necessarily there anymore. And you got a lot of teams that are fighting for the respect, that have very quality programs that have earned the right to be in there.
That's got to get boring after a while.
Oh, you'd think.
No? I guess in the big house they usually don't think so. They got a chance to get up to their worst start in about 40 years if they lose today against Michigan State. Stocko flushed, now runs, comes near side, and goes down at the 42.
He was just running for his life there to collapse it on the pocket, stepped up into it, got out of it, and a couple of guys, you could see the white shirts coming at him, but he got what he could get out of it. He had nowhere to go to throw, but shifty enough and showing some of the fleet footwork that he had last week against Michigan.
Be nice if they could do a little bit to establish the ground game and give Calhoun some opportunity. He's 10 carries for 27 yards. I think Brian Calhoun has made the most of his opportunities. I don't believe that he's had a great deal of chances in those 10 carries today. Not been blocked very well, and Indiana's scheme has been good. Stocko flush to the right, has a man in Posiak who's got a first down, but this one's going to come back. There's going to be a holding call against Wisconsin on the play. So a good flush by Stocko and a good release by Posiak will come back on a holding call.
It's too bad for Posiak. I think that would have been his first catch on the year. He dropped one last week against Michigan.
Holding, 53 offense, 10 yards, previous spot, third down.
Donovan Raiola.
I'm not
sure. Never, he always shakes his head when he gets called for a penalty because he never believes he's ever committed an error. Never actually been guilty of a foul or a penalty on the football field.
You don't see a whole lot of that on the center called that way, but again, he's dinged up a little bit, got hurt in the first series of the game, and
how'd they call that on him?
Yeah, that was on the defense, not on him.
Well, now that one,
we'll cut him a little slack
Raiola
there.
can shake his head on that because when they look at that one on film, he's not guilty of anything other than getting beat. Oh, again, going for Posiak, but it's tapped away by the linebacker. Good defensive play by Kyle Killian, and Wisconsin will punt.
And those things, Stocko's got to be real careful because he just stepped back and he was looking for Posiak all the way. And linebackers that are up in the mix there are real good at reading the eyes of the quarterback, and he just flowed into the line that he was going to throw on and tipped it away. Lucky he had it high enough where he couldn't pick it.
And you don't want to lose your emotion in this game either. Up 17. But with 10 minutes to play in the first half, you can't stop playing with emotion and with adrenaline and drive. You've got to stay at it.
That's
high snap. Good catch.
That's where you got to rely on your veterans a little bit to make sure those young guys do stay motivated.
A good driving punt, although it was low off of a high snap. And Indiana on the return, getting the near sideline and staying on his feet. Indiana going to get decent field position from Troy Grossfield. 48-yard punt, but a good return by Grossfield, and Indiana will start at their own 36.
Making the most of what you can, knowing that you're going to get to the outside. Juke Minton there a little bit, almost ran into his own guy again, but then gets upfield to get positive yards, and is not very easy to bring down right there. Fights for a couple extra yards, but you know, and if you get to the boundary that way and everybody has people sealed in by building that wall of blockers, you get a lot of positive yards.
Nick Hayden, he's kind of a big fella, isn't he?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to meet him in an alley.
6'5", 302. Nelly, you're tough. You can handle yourself in most situations. 1st and 10 at the 36. Blake Powers rolls left, throws left, high, misses his mark. Looking again for Marcus Thigpen.
Chapman chasing him down from the inside there, giving a little shot at the end, but Powers has just bent off a little bit. He hadn't been hitting the mark. He's got some receivers that are open. He's just leading them a little bit too far, partly because they have him moving around, doing some bootlegs and scrambles outside the pocket. If the quarterback's running like that, it makes it pretty hard to throw on the money.
Well, Powers is 2 of 12 for 79 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Now, his touchdown pass was of 83 yards, and he's got 79 yards passing. So he's hit on 1 play today. 2nd and 10. Hands to the left side, making 1 tackler miss. He got through Zalewski, but Taylor gets nothing more than that. Maybe a yard.
Through Zalewski, and then Sanders comes over. Bielema likes the way these linebackers run. They're quick and they're aggressive, sometimes too aggressive in that way. Zalewski hits the hole that same hole the running back went through. He's just got to break down and make the tackle, at least hit the guy so that your D lineman or the other linebackers can come and clean up. But he's almost playing a little bit too aggressive. Got to break down in the backfield there because the running backs can cut so quickly.
3rd and 9 again. The Badgers looking to stop Indiana, who's 1 of 6 on 3rd down. The extra defensive back in. 5 of them in on the play here. Badgers show blitz, drop out of it. 4-man rush. Powers now steps up. He'll run for it. Zalewski chases. Powers keeps his feet and gets a 1st down.
good recognition by Powers there to see that everybody was covered downfield. He felt the pocket pushing upfield. He steps up, and all he sees is green that opens up in front of him. Linebackers are covering back down to cover the tight end or help underneath coverage, and he sees green field again and gets up, and good recognition on his part to get the first down.
Badgers have done good work in the secondary. As I mentioned, Powers is just 2 of 12. He was tied for 5th in the NCAA coming in with 11 touchdown passes, and those went to 7 different receivers. So Wisconsin's secondary has been outstanding so far today. Powers, play action fake. Looks deep on the left. Nobody's home. Now flushes and runs near side. Gets a block and might get the 46-yard line, which would be a gain of about 7 on the play.
Again, very good coverage downfield by the secondary that way. That was one of the things in the last couple weeks that they've had trouble with. The secondary has let guys get behind them. They let it happen one time today, but they've tightened up the coverage. Their communication is working. As that guy went in motion, White and Rogers communicated. They bumped the coverage over so they didn't have to run the entire way. That allows you to cover down, and then Powers has nowhere to go.
1st and 10, Indiana at the Badger 45. You see Blake Powers at the line of scrimmage. Steps in under his center, Chris Mangiero. Gives it to the second back through. That's Yamar Washington. Spins off 2 tacklers and gets an Indiana first down.
Zalewski first and White cleaning up again. Zalewski getting in there and recognizing very, very quickly what it is, a pass or run. In that particular case, gets up there to fill in the hole for the run. Just doesn't wrap up. When you make contact, you got to grab cloth. Let your other defensive players come and finish the job for you. But White recognizing, coming down the line and putting him on the ground.
Brett Bielema has been really happy with the progression of Johnny White, who's a junior. Wasn't there to start as we began. He stepped. In fact, he did start as the season began. Stelmacher then earned the job, and White gets it back with Stelmacher not playing today. But White has 16 tackles and an interception, 2 forced fumbles. Had a good week last week with a forced fumble and an interception. And as a junior, a guy who's been here a few years, you continue to get better mentally as he has gotten better physically.
Well, and I think he understands now in the second year of Bielema's game planning here and in his defensive structure and what he's doing. He played very, very aggressively last week against Michigan. He forced a fumble. He had an interception. I think he got excited about filling in the alley and tackling guys in an incredible game. There's not too many games that players get to play in that are that intense and that exciting with the buzz that was around Camp Randall. And he came in, he filled in for Stelmacher, who ended up leaving the game, and he filled in very, very well. I don't think there was any drop-off. Last week, I think Coach Bielema pulled Johnny aside and said, you know, you got to settle in here a little bit. He had some struggles going on in his personal life. He's from down south where there was a hurricane. He was worried about his family. I think he realized that, hey, I've got that family down here, but I got one up here that cares about me an awful lot too, and I think he felt very comfortable out in the field.
Ron Lee is his defensive backs coach, and Lee has now been here a couple of years, and that makes a difference. The Badgers had a period of time, Nelly, in which they had a different secondary coach every year, I believe, for 3 consecutive years.
Right, and that's tough to get used to. Not only your defensive coordinator changing, but also your position coach changing. The structure and design of the defense and what you're expected to do changes each and every time. And now having 2 or 3 years with the same position coach, now a couple years under the same game planning for Bielema. Those guys have great communication and work very well together, and I think the players see that and they respond and work very well together.
Ron Lee down on the Badgers sideline, working with the secondary. Levon Rowan, Jack Ikaguanu down there, and second year also under the defensive coordinator Brett Bielema. You talk about change. That was there were philosophical changes that came into place for the first time last year that will again to a certain degree next year, because you will have a new defensive coordinator next year as Brett Bielema steps up to be the head coach.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that having some veteran guys that will be coming back, Ikaguanu, Rowan, those guys are going to come back. Their comfort level, hey, throw something a little bit different at me, that's fine, because I've been in the fire before. I can make those changes and react.
It is 1st and 10, balls at the 41, and Powers from the shotgun swings a pass to the near side. What a great play by Mark Zalewski. He blew it up because he ran right through Brandon Hatcher.
I tell you, that's the thing that Zalewski does so well, is his recognition. He's been spotting passing plays, running plays, realizes this is going to be a screen, so he gets to the guy he's supposed to cover. That's the running back. He got to him by running through the offensive lineman there, but tremendous job. If I know I can't get to the receiver or the running back that way, I'm going to put the lineman in his way so he tackles him himself.
2nd and 12, a tackle for loss again for Zalewski. Now has 5 of them on the season. Powers from the shotgun. Runs his tail back up in the middle, comes to the near side, and he made the line of scrimmage with the pass and had it intended for Yamar Washington, wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage by Jason Chapman.
And Chapman's got in there a couple different times now with a few different techniques, but he's gotten after the quarterback. Powers sees big number 91 coming at him. And quite honestly, Powers is a pretty big kid himself. He's at 6'4", 235, so he can handle that punishment, but you don't want to hit your quarterback too many times like that. Chapman's doing a tremendous job splitting the seam.
There you see Chapman. Kurt Ware is to his left on the defensive line. Just a 3-man defensive front, and Shaughnessy in there as well. Indiana 2 of 7 on 3rd down. This is 3rd and 12. Badgers go with a late blitz package. Lobbing near side. Went for the fullback. Yamar Washington missed him long. And Indiana in a potential punting situation. They'll bring out the punt team. With the ball marked at the 43-yard line.
Yeah, with just a 3-man rush, good protection up front. Sanders coming in late, but solid coverage downfield by the linebackers filling underneath and the secondary up over the top.
There you see Terry Hepner making some changes here. And if Indiana huddled, and they did, apparently, because the flag is thrown. If they huddled,
illegal substitution
with 12
on
men
the
on
offense,
the field,
lined up with 12 men to the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
Now, you can't do that because it's confusing and it's intentionally misleading to the defense because they don't know who's going to go off the field and who's not. You can't get into a set position with 12 people on the field or it's a penalty.
Right, and that's the thing that drives the coaches nuts. You got one punt team, one kickoff team. You got to know your personnel, and those guys have to recognize that.
I don't know that Beatty, the punter, minds a whole great deal because now he gets an extra 5 yards to work with from the 48. He's been very good at pinning opponents deep, almost blocked up the middle. He hangs a beauty high. It's going to land at the 3 and bounce into the end zone. He needed about an extra 20 yards in order to make that work.
He needed a little bit more. And you know, one good thing that when you watch a return man like Williams, very smart and aware. He plants his heels on the 10, knows I can't back up to catch the ball. But what he does is he draws the defense towards him. He moves a little bit, so it pulls him away from really where the kick is going. Doesn't allow them to get down there and cover and spot it inside the 5.
Wisconsin with John Stocco comes out from the sideline. They'll start at their own 20-yard line, and the Badgers lead it 24-7. Single back Calhoun. See if they try to establish and are able to establish some ground game here. Calhoun hops through the middle, jumps for about 4 yards.
You know, one thing, because Presley isn't as experienced as some of the tight ends. You got with Posiak and Nellison, they're blocking 2 guys that are known for their blocking. They're tending to bring in more of the tight ends, put them in motion and let them block as opposed to Presley. He's got some time, but they're starting to tighten things up a little bit, gets more of a 6-7-man front right away to seal off the Indiana Hoosiers.
Calhoun with 626 yards on the ground coming in, a 4.9 yard per carry average. But I think one of the most impressive things to that statistic, Scott, is that his long has been just of 29 yards. So he's been very good without actually taking one all the way.
Yeah, and I think it's with his long that way, that came close to breaking it. But you're right, he recognizes things. Okay, I got 5 yards here. I'm going to turn up field. I'm going to put my shoulder down. I'm going to run as hard as I can. And he does that. I think you mentioned that in the first quarter along the boundary. I continue to keep moving forward. And one of these times, somebody's going to miss or they're going to fall down when he hits him, and he's going to get that breakout run.
Still waiting for that big one to hit. He's got 12 carries and 36 yards today. Probably going to get it here at 3rd and 1. Indiana in the zone. No flag. Calhoun on the pitch, and he's not going to get a first down. He's tackled behind the line of scrimmage. And Indiana has played the Badger run game very, very well.
Yeah, they've played that solidly. A lot of times you'll see linemen running down the line, keeping their shoulders square, playing good fundamentals. Indiana's doing that, but they're getting upfield and forcing Calhoun to bounce outside, which allows the defense to cover down and tackle him for a loss or a very, very short gain.
DeBusch will punt with the wind at his back. Now the flags on the top of the goalposts aren't moving by much. They were talking about 10 to 20 mile an hour winds out of the south today. He'll punt with whatever that wind is at his back here. Wobbler to the right, going to need a good bounce. Gets one short hop. A little bit of a roll will carry down to the 30-yard line. 43-yard punt with 4:08 to play in the first half. Nelly, what have you noticed Indiana's doing on the defensive side of the football to shut down the Badgers' ground game?
I think they've just brought up 8 guys into the box consistently, but what they're doing is they're doing different stunts all the time. So the Badgers, when they come up on the line of scrimmage, they see where guys are at, but they're switching right away at the snap. So you don't have the same guy coming at you. You don't have the same stunt going on in front of you. So you always have to constantly adjust, and it doesn't allow you to drive your guy. You're playing more catch at that time. And again, I think a big factor is not having Bernie in there to block for Calhoun. He's a big load that gets in there and covers that one extra body that sprung Calhoun early in the season.
Trail back through, and that's the fullback, I believe, on the big carry off the left side. No, it is Chris Taylor, and Taylor picks up a dozen and a first down for Indiana.
And this is where the Badger defense has to be careful that they don't get too lax, like you're saying. Play with a sense of urgency, play with some excitement, get the guys going here a little bit, and that's where you got to rely on your veterans. I think we talked a little bit about Joe Monty. He's only a junior, but he is one of the veteran guys, not as far as playing experience, but as far as age. He's got to get the guys up and running. You got to rely on Zalewski to get the motor running too.
First and 10 at the 42, option left. Zalewski on the pitch, man, did a very good job and takes his man Chris Taylor out of bounds. Zalewski was working that time hard to beat the block on the pitch man with the option and did a great job.
And he does run very, very well. He gets from left to right, covers off on his blocker there, and doesn't allow him to get a body on a body. He's controlling where he's going. But it helps when you got an offensive tackle coming at you. But good fundamentals as far as wrapping up and breaking down when the running back makes a move and forcing him out of bounds.
Isaac Souls, the offensive left tackle, 330 pounds. Probably not fleet of foot enough to stay with. He never got out to Zalewski on that one, did he? A little too much footwork from Zalewski over Souls. Bit of a quickness mismatch. Second and 10. Powers looks deep over the middle and overshot his man. Again, looking for James Bailey and Brett Bell with good coverage.
You know, you asked a little bit about what their defense is doing. Their offense is starting to go a little bit wide now. They're spreading out, bringing in more receivers, partly because the defense is forcing them into second and third longs that they have to do that. But the secondary and the linebackers have been covering very, very well for Wisconsin as well, that they're not able to get downfield.
Another third down opportunity for the Hoosiers, 2 of 8 on the day, and it's been a pretty quiet crowd. You can understand that after last week against Michigan, but they get into a little bit here. Powers from the shotgun. Blitz coming late. Hits his man. It's close. Very close, and will be a first down. Ball caught on the outside by James Hardy, the basketball player at Indiana. Gets that as a first down.
Just single coverage over on the right-hand side with Bell on him again, and perfect strike throw on that time by Powers. Right in the breadbasket, he brings it in, and he knew what he had to have for a first down. He made sure he got there and turned, sealed off Bell, and got the first down for the Hoosiers.
Hardy's a big, tall kid, 6'7", 215, big target, good soft hands. Hadn't played a ton of football, but he's played it well. Coming into today, he had 17 catches for 266 yards. Powers wants a double fake and 2 men wide open. Oh, what a play for Indiana. Going to be a touchdown as it goes all the way to James Bailey. What a well-conceived play and very well executed by Indiana.
I tell you, anytime you get 2 guys wide open like that, I don't know if they recognized or saw a run, but there's no way that when you're in man coverage that way that should happen, that 2 guys break free.
Nelly, I think they faked the wide receiver screen and made it look like a wide receiver screen on the outside. Right here, they're thinking it's a wide receiver screen, and I think a couple of corners bit on that.
And bit hard, and 2 guys going downfield, and one recognizing that the other guys can catch it, getting upfield to block, and Hardy catching it and getting in for the end zone. Or I guess Bailey, that was, getting in for the touchdown.
So for the second time today, Indiana hits on a big play in the air. That one 46 yards. Earlier, they had one of 83 yards. And those are the 2 Indiana touchdowns. And let me tell you, we got a game. It's a 10-point game in favor of Wisconsin, but Indiana continues to hang around a bit.
Well, you know,
2 big plays are the culprit.
The defense has done a great job on third down conversions and stopping them. The trouble is they've given up 2 big plays, and a big play for a defense is 25 yards or more. And they've given up 2 of those today, which has allowed Indiana to stay in this game. And those are the things they got to tighten up, making sure that they're not jumping routes and recognizing things. But the communication is better than what it was in the first half, or in the first quarter. In the second quarter, they got to continue to tighten that up, though.
5 plays, 70 yards, a $1:14 off the clock. 46-yard pass to Bailey, and James Bailey, the 200-pound freshman from Detroit. What a story he is. He was in an auto accident on March the 24th, spent 12 days in a hospital and 2.5 weeks in a wheelchair. And here he is playing Big Ten football less than 6 months later.
Yeah, and sometimes those guys that get in an accident that way because of their training and how good a shape they are, and they can recover from those injuries a lot quicker than the average person can.
Kickoff coming. Angled towards the near sideline. Zach Hampton going to get a shot. Drops it initially. Picks it up at the 10. Now he's got a bit of a seam to the outside. Gets chased down and cuts it. And will finally be dragged to the turf at the 19-yard line.
And Hampton has returned many kicks in high school. He's returned a couple here for the Badgers, but he's a guy that likes to get up there and block for Williams that way, but he's not unfamiliar with returning a football.
Indiana's got a player down on the return, being checked out. And there you see Brian Murphy talking to Hampton on the side. But Indiana with a player down on the field being attended to.
And one thing, when Hampton went to receive that ball and dropped it, that's always one thing that the coaches tell you, and I'm sure that's what Coach Murphy was telling him. First things first, secure the football, get it tucked away so we know that we've got it, you're not going to fumble, and then worry about getting upfield. But bobbled it a little bit, which gave the coverage team a little more time to cover down.
Checking the lower back on the Indiana player now. It's Tracy Porter, a sophomore from Port Allen, Louisiana. Yeah, when they roll you over like that, at least you know it's not a serious injury. Had it been a spine or neck injury, they're not going to even move him.
Yeah, it looks like a lower back. A lot of times when they stretch you up like that, you either got hit with a helmet or as a pile comes up, a couple knees fly in there, and those things do tend to hurt.
There he goes down in there, and he probably got, there's a little extra stuff happening there at the end that always seems to happen. And you get inside of those piles, Nelly, I don't think anybody could ever fully imagine what's happening in there and how it feels unless you played the game, and certainly you did. But sometimes you get in those scrums and you don't come out of there feeling the same way that you felt when you went in.
There's times where I've pulled my helmet from my ear back to where it was supposed to be because I couldn't see. You're right. A lot of times, especially with him, he makes the initial hit, but there's 3 or 4 other guys coming at full speed to knock the receiver down. And when you're the first guy on there, there's many times because of the position that you're in, you get hit as well.
John Stocco is 7 of 15 in the air for 145 yards, a couple of touchdowns, both to Brandon Williams. And he'll look to go to the air here, trying to ISO Calhoun, but instead goes to Brandon Williams again at the 45. He just flat out has beat every defender they've tried to throw at him. That time it was Leslie Majors.
A simple route there by Orr, clearing that area for Williams to come up underneath, but Orr, because of his size and speed, he takes 2 guys with him. It leaves the flat wide open, the deep corner there for Williams to come up underneath, and with his speed again, he gets that separation. All Stocco has to do is get out there and let him run underneath.
Well, and if Indiana's going to take away the ground game, Stocco will have to do it in the air, and he's been pretty good. 8 of 16 now for 174 yards. The bulk of that again to Williams. Blitz coming. Stocco throwing deep on the right. Defensive holding is going to be called, or would have had a touchdown. Or would have had a touchdown were it not for the hold by the corner. And they'll get 2 flags thrown in on the play.
Great pickup by the front line there, the tight ends, the tackles, center on the blitz. Gives Stocco that time to throw, and Orr again, we just talked about last play, because of his size and speed, he can get downfield in a hurry. As a defensive back, you're taught to do that. If you get beat, you better grab something, because it's better to give up that 15 yards than a touchdown.
Not certain who the corner was on the coverage. They'll call out the number. They didn't used to do that.
Holding, number 16 on the defense. 10 yards previous spot.
Chris Phillips.
Automatic, first down.
Chris Phillips is the guilty party. It's really a pretty good play because if he doesn't grab onto him, Nelly, it's a touchdown.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, he's taught to do that. If he gets beat, bites on the route that way, he pulls it that way. And you know, everybody, I think, in the stands, including Stocko there in the field, knew it was going to be a flag, and 3 of them came flying in.
Well, the difference between the pro game and the college game is in a pro game, that's a spot foul.
Right.
In college, it's 10 yards from the previous spot. And a first down. Calhoun on the delay, runs through a tackle, runs to the 30 and the 25-yard line.
Again, not a real long run, only 16, 18 yards on that run, but he's showing the burst and the speed and his strength and power to get through there straight up the gut, right following his center and his left guard, and does a tremendous job of recognizing where the hole is and then just going upfield. And I think he feeds off that stuff more than the 30, 40-yard run. Not that he won't take that, but grinding it out this way is what he does best.
14 for 52 yards on the day now for Calhoun. Play action. Stocko looks right side, has Jonathan Orr. Good catch by Orr. Juggled initially, then pulled it into the chest and secures the reception at the 12-yard line.
I think another first down for the Badgers. And you know, you look at the first few weeks of the season this way, they've been able to establish a running game and go at it. They really haven't had to pass. I think you alluded to it in the opening a little bit, that hey, at some point they're going to have to open it up. This is the perfect game that they've had to do it, because Indiana's been successful at shutting down the running game for most of the game up to this point, but they've been able to expose him now with the passing game, and Stocko's hitting his receivers.
186 first-yard passing yards for Stocko. Calhoun, good move at the line and down to the 10-yard line. Those are the ones that, to me, Nelly, that are most impressive, when he gets a little seam at the beginning but finishes with 3 yards that you wouldn't expect normal backs to get.
Yeah, and his speed is one thing, but his vision is the other thing. He sees the guys coming. They may have an angle, but because he's so quick and powerful to stop and cut, he changes that angle, and a lot of times you see guys overrunning.
Williams, watch him. He's to the near side. On the inside of him, he's got Brandon White. Stocko over the middle. Calhoun out of the backfield. Calhoun to the goal line. What a stick. What a heavy stick on the defensive side there at the goal line, keeping Calhoun out. It was Leslie Majors, I believe, that stepped up to make a beautiful hit right at the goal line.
I tell you, that's just one man-on-man right there, and we've seen many times where Calhoun has won that battle, but that particular play, you're right, a tremendous job. Actually, number 24, Aaron Mitchell. Great job lowering the shoulder and driving Calhoun back. That was a heck of a collision.
Well, now Calhoun's going to get a touchdown on the ground instead of in the air. You say no. You agree or
do I? Absolutely.
Here it comes. Oh, Indiana's going to make it. Instead of a 1-yard touchdown run for Calhoun, it's going to be a half a yard. Statistically, they give him the yard, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I would think.
I don't think there's too many half yards.
I'm way ahead of myself here. I've already called
offside with contact. Half the distance to the goal. Still first down.
So I'm playing Paul Chryst, Brian White, Barry Alvarez. I've called Calhoun's number here already.
You're doing a fine job.
Yeah, I think there's only 82 other thousand people in the stadium that expect the same thing.
Well, we didn't know what to expect last week, and they gave the ball to Stocko. So
a little bit different.
I tell you, when you got Presley in that offensive line with as big as they are, give it to Calhoun and just pound it up in there.
Presley's the fullback. Calhoun stretches near side. He's got a touchdown. Oh, am I good, Nelly, huh? Did I call that?
You called it.
Yeah.
I think Bielema, now that he's going to be the head coach, may be looking for a new offensive coordinator and a little help, maybe.
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
A 1-yard touchdown run for Brian Calhoun with 20 seconds on the clock. And the Badgers jump out and answer the call, and now lead it by a score of 30-14.
You know, again, they go to the left side where you've got Thomas and those guys, again, filling off the corner, letting Calhoun find a seam. Extra point was good, letting them find a seam and just run through it. Again, knowing that they need half a yard, as you mentioned, to get after it a little bit. And with Thomas, Lawrence at the guard, letting those guys just seal off their men and get up for a touchdown.
So the Badgers get another scoring drive late in the half. They go 6 plays, 81 yards, and a 1-yard touchdown run by Brian Calhoun. And the Badgers now lead it 31-14. Wisconsin, one of the best scoring teams in the country on the season. They're 15th in scoring at 39.5 points a game. You saw Owen Daniels on the side there. He's got a pressure and an inflatable cast going, so that's a little, you know, we saw him, you pointed it out first, Nelly, last week when he got rolled under on the double hit high and low.
Yep.
And rolled up on that left ankle. He walked off and limped off, rather, after the first play of the game offensively today. I wouldn't think we'd see him again.
Yeah, anytime you're in a boot that way, I don't think he's going to come back out, especially with some of the success they've had now a little bit. Posiak and Nellis again filling in, maybe not quite as a receiving threat, but Orr and Williams have taken on that load that they're not going to need him in that capacity.
You know, Nelly, it is hockey season. 1 week from now, in fact, 6 days from now, Badgers will open up their college hockey season. St. Lawrence Saints come to Madison and the Kohl Center Friday and Saturday, October 7th and 8th. And you can catch all the coverage with Aaron Sims and Ron Vincent on Wisconsin Public Television. Badgers throw a short kick at Indiana. With 16 seconds, the thing that does, it really gives Indiana a chance to score here. And Barry's walking out. I think he wants to talk to Taylor Melhoff on what that kick was. I think, and there's some confusion as to why you would do that. You want to hit the ground ball, but you want to put a foot into it. And Barry's not very happy right now with his sophomore from Aberdeen, South Dakota, who's been perfect in field goals of late, but that's kind of a mental mistake there.
I don't think that's what they were talking about. I think they wanted to do low line drive squib and kick it deep, pin them down there, but not really give them a chance to return. Not an onside kick, more or less, as that was.
So Indiana at midfield and 15 seconds to play. They've got, I believe, 2 timeouts left. So Powers, under a little bit of pressure, throws it deep on the sideline, and he's got a man wide open and caught and breaking a tackle. And Wisconsin is in danger of giving Indiana free points here at the end of the half, and that won't make the coach very happy.
And that all started again with that kick. Langford got beat inside a post corner route by the receiver, but Langford, he's got to start stepping it up a little bit. He's playing pretty solid, but he got beat on the post, comes out when he goes back to the corner. He was really slow on turning around and covering down on the receiver.
Indiana has to take their time out. They're going to have to kick the field goal here, Nelly, because they don't have a time to get 2 plays off. There's the throw on a double move.
Langford, he's got to break down and make the tackle like that. He can't let him get another 2 or 3 yards. But you're right. I think they called the timeout looking at what the clock was. They basically got 1 play left. But again, it was all set up by a kick that was supposed to be a squib trick deep that never got down there.
So Alvarez is kind of pacing the sideline, hands on his hips. He's not a happy head coach right now because you can't ever afford to give a team opportunity when there shouldn't be opportunity. And that's exactly what they did on the kick there. And that'll leave the coach with a bitter taste in his mouth when he goes to the locker room, whether or not Indiana scores or not. One of the great lines I've heard, and maybe it's not an original, but Dick Bennett said to me a number of years ago when he was the basketball coach after Wisconsin had beaten UW-Milwaukee by a big margin. He said to me after the game, he said, you can't accept in victory what you would not accept in defeat.
Right.
And that means the mistakes that are made, even when you win by 25 points, you can't allow them just because you won the game.
Right, and I think that's where last week, as good as that game was and that victory was against Michigan, there was a lot of things that they had to correct. Simple things that they can correct, but things that make a big difference. Much like that kick, Melhoff is going to go in there. I'm sure a lot of guys are going to get on him to make sure that he establishes what he's supposed to do and understand what he's supposed to do. But he's also going to have a lot of his teammates helping pick him up. But those are the correctable things that when you are leading in this way, whether, like you said, they get points or not, it's something that they go into halftime and make sure they get corrected.
Well, Joe Kleinsmith's on the field to try this field goal attempt. He is 1 of 3 on the season. He's missed both of his attempts between 30 and 39 yards, and this one will be a 34-yard attempt. Just a freshman from the left hash. And it is good as the half expires. So 3 free points for Indiana as we go to the half. Terry Hepner takes the Hoosiers to the locker room. Barry Alvarez takes the Badgers, and we've got 30 minutes left to play. At the half, it is Wisconsin 31 and Indiana 17. Back with the second half after this short timeout on Wisconsin Public Television.
He is one of the most famous artists of all time. But Leonardo da Vinci was also a scientist and engineer, and he created thousands of designs for strange and beautiful machines. None of them has ever been built until now. Follow the elusive paper trail da Vinci left behind as experts attempt to build two of his most fascinating designs. Watch Leonardo's Dream Machines, Monday night at 8 on Wisconsin Public Television.
Next time on Frontline, most whites thought he was guilty. Most blacks thought he was framed. Were they both right?
This case somehow became personal.
The legacy of the O.J. verdict. Watch Frontline.
Tuesday night at 9 on Wisconsin Public Television. This is Wisconsin Public Television.
Presentation of Badger football on Wisconsin Public Television is made possible in part by Goodman's Jewelers. John Hayes of Goodman's Jewelers, proud of the tradition started by Robert and Irwin Goodman. Goodman's Jewelers, the diamond store of Madison since 1933. News Talk 1310 WIBA AM and ESPN 1070. The Badgers play here. The Mendota Gridiron Club, the official fundraising organization for University of Wisconsin football. University Athletic Department, with official information about Badger athletics on the web. The Wisconsin Alumni Association, connecting, enriching, and serving UW-Madison alumni and friends for more than 140 years. UWalumni.com. And by the Badger Fund, the Wisconsin Athletic Department's annual fundraising program, 14,000 donors supporting 750 Badger student athletes.
Second half at Camp Randall Stadium. The Badgers lead it by 14 at the break against Indiana. Again, I'm Mike Heller along with Scott Nelson. Nelly, as much as Wisconsin dominates in the first half, three big plays changed the complexion of this game. Two big home run passes by Indiana, and then an inexplicable kickoff near the end of the first half by Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think the plays, I guess the passes, you can probably make those corrections. There's a couple breakdowns, guys bit on some fakes. Those are all correctable things. That was just a flat-out mental mistake by Melhoff doing that. I think they wanted to squib kick down the field. He just mishit it. It was a short kick, more like an onside kick. Gave them a chance to set up a field goal at the end of the half.
So Wisconsin leads at 31-17. Let's recap the scoring in the first half. It started out pretty good as the Badgers got on the board first in this one. And the weapon all day offensively for Wisconsin has been that man, and it is Brandon Williams, who's having a great first half. 6 catches, 113 yards, 2 TDs. This is the first of the long touchdowns as Brett Bell fell down. It was James Hardy, 83 yards outrunning the chasers and getting to the end zone.
You know, and when you look at that, those are the things that you expect a senior to establish and do things well and not screw that up.
And there's Brandon Williams. He got a punt return opportunity and now moves into a tie for the most punt returns for a touchdown in a single season with 3 other former Wisconsin players, including Nick Davis and Jimmy Leonard. Another Williams touchdown in the air again.
Yeah, he's had a tremendous first half. He's doing it all. He's blocking downfield. He's receiving, scoring touchdowns on special teams. He's done a tremendous, tremendous job.
Here's the other double fake from Powers, and he got on the outside and found James Bailey with nobody home defensively, who took it another 46 yards to the house. Calhoun with his only rushing touchdown of the first half. He hasn't gotten untracked, Scott, and that has been one of the stories of the game. Wisconsin rushing yards 59 so far in the first half.
And Calhoun has 55 of those rushing yards, but what we've seen in the last couple of games is Brian has come out in the second half, and that's when he's really shown. He's done what he had to do. He's been very methodical in the first half, but he's really taken over games in the second half of all of them every single time this year, and they're going to have to find a way to adjust for it. Raiola's hurt a little bit. You got Owen Daniels down, so you're going to have to bring in Nellis and Posiak to make sure that they can cover down on the guys and fill in for where Bernstein is not.
Grossfield is one of the deep receivers along with Lance Bennett. This time Melhoff hits it probably the way he should have at the end of the first half. And a couple yards deep, and he's convinced is Lance Bennett to stay in the end zone. Grossfield made a compelling argument, and he stayed in the end zone. Good choice.
That was a good choice. Anytime you're taught as a return man, you're on at the top part of the numbers there. Stay in the end zone. That's the hard part as a return man when you're as explosive as Bennett is. He wants to get out there much like Williams does for Wisconsin. He wants to bring it on the end zone. He wants that opportunity. Probably a good move there to get him started at the 20-yard line for the second half now.
Shot of Melhoff on the sideline, probably feeling a lot better about that one than he did his last effort.
I think he got a little talking to going in at half.
Blake Powers in the first half, not spectacular efficiency-wise. He was 6 completions, 2 of them were for touchdowns. He throws in the first play of the second half, hits his tight end Matt O'Neill, who gets laid up by Brett Bell.
And Bell recognized it coming off his man, tight end on that particular play. Didn't even see him coming. Bell goes low because when you hit a big guy, you don't want to hit him high. They'll run right over you. Go low with their legs. Good job of bringing him down, but very simple play. Just leak out the tight end a little bit late. Bell did a nice job bringing him down.
Pickup of about 4, 2nd and 6. 2 wide receivers to the top and a single back, Chris Taylor in the backfield behind Powers. Handed to the near side, hitting the backfield, and then dragged down by Lamar Watkins.
I think Shaughnessy actually made that play coming off the corner and forcing Taylor to bounce outside, and Watkins coming in to clean up. Good job, good pursuit by the defense there.
So a loss of a couple on the play brings up 3rd and 9.
Listen, we've seen Wisconsin put the Hoosiers in this particular situation over and over and over. 3rd down conversion held them 3 out of 9 right now, but this is a big one here. Start up the second half again, set the tone for the rest of the game.
Badger bench trying to get the fans into a little slow to respond today. It's a 14-point Wisconsin lead. It is 3rd and 9. Play clock down to 2. Got it off in time. Powers looking near side, coming against Bell, and he's got it complete to James Bailey. They were hand fighting the whole way. Bailey won the battle, and he's short of the first down. It'll bring up a 4th down.
And that's good pursuit and understanding where you are in the field from Brett Bell, but the receiver, it's his responsibility to get far enough upfield to get that first down. Quarterback will throw it to that spot, but he's got to give him the mark to throw to.
Now Brandon Williams goes back deep to receive. He's already got 1 touchdown on a punt return earlier today. 1 touchdown catch. 2 touchdown catches rather on the day. So he's got the ball into the end zone 3 times. And that's a bouncer wobbler. Williams will take it on a bounce and reverses field. Lost his feet for a second. Now he's got a chance. On the outside, and he's chased down out of bounds at the 35.
Got a pretty lucky bounce there coming right at him, but tried to reverse his field pretty quick. That's when he slipped and did a lot of running there to get some short yardage. But when you run all the way across the field, a couple of guys set up on the block, but that initial slip really sets the tone for I got to work a little bit harder now to get where I got to get to, and never was able to turn the corner.
And now if he doesn't lose his footing, I think he'll get the edge there. And
yeah, they had it set up with that wall. You're right. They had it set up for him to get over there, but that little slip just gives the coverage team a fraction of a second to cover down a little bit further.
Pretty good day for Brandon. 220 all-purpose yards, punt returning and receiving. Calhoun again behind Presley on the delay, and the counter comes near side, gets the 38. Again, not to beat a dead horse, but Matt Bernstein not playing today. He's been battling a shoulder injury, played sparingly last week. They held him out of today's game, and Chris Presley is the lead fullback, a converted tailback, and that makes a lot of difference.
It does. And the good thing for him is he's getting a lot of experience now coming into this game, building on those things for future. If Bernie can't come back, he's getting that time, he's getting experience for the years to come, but it is hard to come in and fill in as a fullback when you're used to carrying the load.
2nd and 7. Calhoun now with 17 carries, 58 yards. Stocco going to look deep, wants to look over the middle, does throw to Jonathan Orr. There was a lot of traffic in the middle of the field. Fans might have wanted the interference, but it was Brandon Williams and Orr getting caught up with one another. Again, maybe a little bit of a miss route. on that one.
I think what happened is Orr got caught up early in the route there with a couple guys jockeying him in at the line of scrimmage there. Couldn't release and get upfield, so when he did release and finally Williams was coming right where Orr was, as opposed to Orr being able to clear. They ran the same route in the first half. Orr got upfield and pressed out of the way, but that time defense did a good job of stopping Orr from getting down there.
Saw a shot there of Bernie on the sideline. He was actually, I believe, talking with Paul Christ or Brian Murphy. I wasn't sure who on this short view we got. Stocko flushed. He's in trouble, and he'll go down at the 32. So Wisconsin is 3 and out offensively.
Fast start by the Indiana Hoosier defense there. Stocko did a good job of avoiding the pressure initially. Gets outside, and sometimes instead of trying to keep running, when you got guys converging on you, you're outside the tackle box, throw the ball, you save yourself about 4 or 5 yards.
Maybe got away with a late face mask. One of the things with Indiana blitzing all day, Wisconsin has at times done a very good job of picking up the hot read, but in that case, they did not. As 5 offensive linemen, you can only hold 7 or 8 rushers for so long. DeBush hits one hard to the 15. It's a little low and returnable for Indiana outside the 33-yard line. Grossfeld on the return. There is a flag at about the 49-yard line. Again, usually that's a block in the back or a hold on the return team. 52-yard punt for DeBush, who has been amazing.
Holding 16 on the prior to the return. That's a post-scrimmage force and spotment. 10 yards from the end of the kick. First down.
So Indiana
will be
gets
half the
back
distance
up
to the
another
goal.
10. From where the ball was caught. Well, Terry Hepner wants an explanation. He doesn't quite understand it.
That more or less amounts to about a 25-yard penalty after the return, then sending them back from the end of the kick to 10-yard foul. They lose 25 yards on that there alone.
Side judge says, I'll explain it to you, Terry, but I got to get you back in the coaching area. I don't know if Terry's going to like the explanation anyway.
He hasn't liked a couple of the calls so far today. With what occurred earlier in the first half with a block in the back and then a personal foul. You know, it's good to see the coaches fighting for their players. I think the players understand. You talked about it. They fire up his own guys. A lot of times to see a basketball coach do the same thing. Well, take a technical to get the guys understanding, hey, this is a breaking point of the game. You better go up here a little bit and get ready to play. And, you know, the good thing for Wisconsin is it sends them down to the student section where they were tremendous last week against Michigan, excuse me.
Well, Indiana will start deep in their own territory, but Wisconsin is, you know, they appeared to have this game well in hand. It's a 2-possession game right now. You don't want to allow Indiana to hang around too long. You'd like to be able to put them away, and I think the reason Wisconsin hasn't been able to, a couple of defensive lapses, but the other thing that's just glaring to me is the rushing yardage for Wisconsin. They're at 56 yards on the ground for the day, and against a team in Indiana that is 104th in the NCAA in rushing defense, you hoped you'd find a little bit more than that.
I think that's probably a disappointment when the coaches went and looked at the stats coming in at half. They've got to do something to get that game on track right now, because as explosive as Calhoun is, even though he's being used in passing situations and sometimes as a decoy, you've got Williams and Orr that have stepped up as far as receiving, but the bread and butter of this program is a running game, and they take great pride in that. That's how they've been able to establish and control the possession game. And if they can't do that, that allows a team like Indiana to stick around a little bit. And as quick strikes as they've gotten, they're a dangerous ball club with only 2 touchdowns out of this. Like you said, all it is 2 plays, and they can go the distance in a hurry.
Well, and they have twice earlier in the ball game going the distance. In fact, at halftime, Powers had passing statistics of 168 yards. Well, 2 of them were for 149 yards, an 83-yarder and a 46-yarder. So they've had some big moments in the air in this ball game, and this time they'll start at their own 8-yard line. Trail back through, running through Zalewski and getting to the 10 is Washington. He is a fullback at 5'9", 205. little bit undersized. I guess they don't really run a traditional fullback through at Indiana. Yamar Washington and Chris Taylor are both halfbacks, and they'll never run a lead.
Yeah, and most of the time when you have a fullback listed in a ball or an offense like this, they're the guys that aren't used to carrying the ball a whole lot. They've got some speed, but they're the better blockers out of those tailbacks, and so they move them down there for lead blocking.
Single wide out to the top and a slot left now in motion. Powers again gives, and nothing home for Yamar Washington.
I tell you, Sanders, he came in on a blitz and just flat out ran over that right guard for Indiana, forced him right back into the running back into Washington, and Sanders just cleaned up. But he came in there, actually he slipped down. Tight end slipped down on that, but Sanders reading the play and stepping up into the hole and making the tackle. Great position on his part.
Well, and an opportunity for the student section to get a little jacked, and the players want them. About as loud as it's been today defensively for Wisconsin. Powers to the halfback, and Brett Bell blows him up.
Tremendous recognition by Brett Bell. They're going up bump man coverage on the wide receiver out there, jacking him, releasing him once he realized it was the running back screen. That little flare route right that, coming up and laying a heck of a load on that guy right there. Tremendous recognition, a good lick.
And Washington doing a good job just to hold on to the ball. And now Indiana will punt with the punter taking the snap on the end line, and that's always a little dangerous. Tyson Beatty been very good, but he'll catch this one with his heels on the end line. It's a high short floater away, waved off, and the Badgers get great field position. Once Indiana touches that the first time, it's a free ball, and Wisconsin can actually pick it up without the risk of anything going wrong.
Right, but when you start calling out what they call Peter, that's your get away from the ball. Just run and don't even go attempt to get it. Last year, a couple years ago, we saw Brett Bell not get that call. It hit him against Michigan, cost him the game. This time Williams doing a very good job of communicating to his guys up front. Get away from it, get away from it. Don't even worry about going after the ball at that point. You end up with great field position at the 34.
I believe it was a 32-yard punt. Is that correct? 32-yard punt out to the 34-yard line. So Wisconsin with outstanding field position.
This right now, Mike, is a time where you got to take advantage of everything, and this you got to get points out of this. Set and establish yourself here in the second half. It was 3-0 last time. Just got to take over right now.
Booker Stanley gets the carry and gets the 25, maybe the 26-yard line. A gain of 8 on the play. They ran Calhoun and Booker Stanley in the backfield initially in the set, and then motioned Calhoun out as they split out to the top side of the field. And Booker gets the carry and gets a good chunk.
Hey, clearing the hole out there was Varela, so it looks like he's recovered from whatever hurt him in the first series of the game there. But does a nice job pulling as a center, sealing his block, and making sure that Stanley can get up in there for a nice gain.
Wisconsin needs the 24-yard line to get a first down. Stocco to throw on the blitz, steps up inside, but they're still home. And Indiana's blitz package has caused Wisconsin trouble all day.
Yeah, they've been very aggressive, and you got linebackers that look like they're sitting back in zone coverage, timing out the call perfectly on the snap count. Then they're coming up, and they're coming in from all angles. Stocco, again, avoids the initial pressure, but the guys filling in when they run their stunts, when they cross each other, he's running right into where all the white shirts are. Very good game plan on their part right now.
It's a 3rd and 6. The loss of 4 on the play. Calhoun 7 yards deep in the backfield. Alvarez looks on the Badgers sideline. Calhoun gets it on the right, and he'll be short of the first down by 2 yards. And it brings up 4th and just over 2, and Taylor Melhoff runs out, and Wisconsin will settle for a field goal attempt. Again, getting the ball in excellent field position at the 35, but 3 plays nets 8 yards. And Melhoff, who is 1 of 1 in field goals today, and now 5 of 6 on the year. We'll try this one from 44.
Yeah, there's got to become a sense of urgency on the offensive side of the ball. When you do get those things, you got to make sure you get some points, at least 3 out of this.
Melhoff hits it, and he is perfect on that one. Slides it in a little bit left to right, or right to left rather. Drills the 34-yard field goal, and it is 34-17 Wisconsin.
Yeah, you'd like to get 7 out of that, Mike, but at least you're getting points. You're driving a little bit, but again, there's got to be a sense of urgency. This is a time where after coming off an emotional win last week, you get a little lax. We've talked about it a couple different times. There's got to be some emotion here now where the older guys step in and say, we've got to finish this game. There's a long way from being over. Again, as quickly as Indiana has struck on a couple of touchdowns there, it's long from being over, but that's the senior leadership and the upperclassmen leadership that you got to rely on as a coaching staff. You can rant, rave, and scream and yell all you want, but if players don't buy into it and the players aren't getting on each other themselves, it's going to be a day like today where it's, it just kind of even keel. They're obviously winning. They're doing good enough from that standpoint, but it's not good enough for the rest of the season. They got to step it up a little bit.
Another chance to look back at Camp Randall history. Matt LePay tells us about Alan the Horse Amici.
From 1951 to 1954, Badgers fullback Alan Amici produced one of the finest careers in college football history. A 3-time All-American, Amici led the Badgers to the 1953 Rose Bowl, Wisconsin's first ever bowl game. Known as the Horse, he finished his career as the NCAA's all-time rushing leader and was Wisconsin's first Heisman Trophy winner in 1954. A member of the College Football Hall of Fame, Amici is one of only 4 players to have his number retired by the university, cementing his position as part of the Camp Randall legacy.
Alan Amici, there you see it on the facade here on the west side of the stadium, Camp Randall. Amici up there, number 35. He also, until this last week, held the record in the NFL for the most yards gained in his first 3 games in the league. Cadillac Williams broke the record for Tampa Bay against the Green Bay Packers this last week, and that record had held for the better part of half a century.
It's fun when you look back and see the film clips of those guys playing back then, and how really the weightlifting and the training, all that stuff wasn't as prevalent as it is now, and yet how big and strong and how well conditioned that those guys came in, and the stuff they were able to do. They might not have all the yards and the big stats, but boy, I tell you, that was one era of really tough football players, and a lot of fun for a lot of people look around that didn't experience that to sit and watch. It's a pretty special time.
Courtney Clancy back deep to receive, but he'll give way to Lance Bennett, who comes from 4 yards deep, and he'll be tackled at the 13, and then a flag goes down. This one might not be in a black block in the back. This one might be a face mask.
I think actually was coming over. I think DeAndre Levy, number 7, was coming in. He actually holding on the
83 on the return, half the distance to the goal.
So they're going to set him back again. This time they'll start at about the 6-yard line.
He came off the corner really hard, and you could see it happen pretty clearly, that blocking back right there as Levy was turning the corner, grabbed him, pulled his shirt down, and pulled his arm down. It was pretty obvious. A good call by the official.
So Indiana again gets railed. Badgers have been one of the best teams, not just in the Big Ten, but in the country in field position battles in football games. Ken DeBush and Taylor Melhoff have been a big part of that. And that's what Barry has always called hidden yardage.
Right.
When you have an average starting field position of about the 32 that Wisconsin has had, and the other team's at the 20 or the 18, add that up and multiply by each possession.
Right.
And you're talking about a hidden yardage of well over 140 to 180 yards a game.
Yeah, that's where you really make up a lot of the differential in the game. Is when you talk about the 20-yard line there as opposed to the 50 or the 40, that's a huge difference for an offense to have to go that extra 30 yards. It gives your defense a chance to try a few different things. If you're having success controlling the ball, sometimes you walk out as an offense and it's not that big of a deal. In a game like today, though, where Indiana's only got a couple quick hitters, and that's been about it, they really struggle. They start to press a little bit again, especially down in the student section of Wisconsin. They get noisy, they get loud, and the players respond to it.
All right, time to check out today's trivia question. Nelly has already looked at it. In fact, prior to the game today, I read it to him, and And he got it right. I don't know if he had the phrasing right, but he got the question right. And it is prior to this season, when was the last time the Badgers entered the top 25 under Coach Alvarez when they weren't ranked in the top 25 in a preseason poll? Kind of like Michigan State has done this year. They're
Right.
number 11 and weren't ranked in the preseason. Badgers are number 17, were not ranked in the preseason. Give you a couple of minutes to think about it. Nelly had somebody in his ear giving him the answer prior to the game. So he actually got it right, so he wins nothing. That's what you win, nothing.
I won nothing last week, too.
Yeah, that's 2 weeks in a row. Last week, you just flat out cheated.
Well, yeah.
This week,
This week, I guess, but I got it right.
Yeah. You know, we talk about that field position. Wisconsin in the first 4 games has averaged starting at their own 38-yard line, and their opponent has started on the 22. Now, just consider that if you take that out by 10 to 12 possessions per game for each team, you're talking about the better part of
That's probably
180 yards
at least
a game. Multiply by 4 games. That's a lot of yardage.
The
All
good
right, so now we want the answer, Nelly. Remember what you guessed prior to the game?
I remember
Do
what was 1993.
Oh, it's a little Jeopardy phrasing, and that would be correct. 1993, Wisconsin won the Big Ten title and the Rose Bowl that year. Well, we'd like to have history repeat itself, wouldn't we? 1st and 10, Indiana starts on their own 6. Powers on the option. He'll keep it, and nobody took quarterback responsibility, and he'll get the 15.
Yeah, I think Sanders was supposed to have the quarterback on that. Couldn't get over to the quarterback on that. He was blocked. Couldn't set his block. He had Watkins coming up on the pitch man where he was supposed to go. Again, Sanders coming over there. He's got a lineman on, finally released off of him, but down the field for a 6-7-yard gain.
Well, the option is not a real common element in today's college football game. It used to be.
And Powers really isn't that great of a runner either. For him to run the option control that way, that's kind of a surprise for Indiana to throw that in there.
They've run it a bit this year on 2nd and just about a yard. Very close. Chris Taylor is going to get a favorable spot, it looks like. Indiana should have a 1st down.
Made it by about a half a yard, but they did get the 1st.
So the Hoosiers have ground out a little bit of offensive effectiveness. Yardage in the game is almost identical. 259 yards of offense for the Badgers, 243 for Indiana.
You know, when you look at today the way the Badgers have played, and I don't want to say there's not emotion out there, but just not as much as what we've seen from them in the past. The crowd is almost the same way that way, and sometimes the crowd can help energize a team, and vice versa. The team can do the same, and even a day like today, the team just, I don't want to say flat again, but they're just not quite in the emotion that they had last week and first couple games of the year, and the crowd is the same way. They're here, but you know, they're enjoying a beautiful day in Camp Randall, but certainly not into it as they were last week.
Well, and that's kind of human nature. They had the huge late afternoon, early evening start last week against Michigan, a game that a lot of people had looked forward to, and Wisconsin gets that huge win. Then you have Indiana coming in. Indiana's 3-0, but Indiana has beaten teams of a little less caliber in Central Michigan, Nicholls State, and Kentucky. And Indiana is not considered a bowl caliber football team. So you would expect a little bit of a letdown. Going deep on the left side. Very good defensive coverage on the outside by Wisconsin's Roderick Rogers.
Good coverage over there again. A guy goes in motion. Langford come over. Rogers checks off with him, and then they run a little route where it's man-to-man. They try and brush off one another. That inside guy does a wheel route outside, but again, Rogers a tremendous job keeping him on his outside hip, forcing him along the boundary and using that as an extra defender.
Rogers, a junior from Stone Mountain, Georgia. And Indiana now on a 2nd and 10. Badgers face a really difficult 2-week road stretch over the next 2 at Northwestern, then at Minnesota. Powers goes down on the option again. This time Wisconsin's defense is option sound, and he'll lose 2 on the play.
And that was one guy making that play. That was Matt Shaughnessy on the left-hand side, just coming up and blowing his guy right over. forcing him back into the blocking, back into the quarterback. Just a flat-out bull rush right into Powers there. He took 3 guys out. Yeah, exactly. Great job on his part off the edge.
He takes 2 blockers and the quarterback down.
Just I got this one, guys. Don't worry about it.
3rd and 12, little louder. Four-man rush. On the slant near side, it's caught and close, but short of a first down. Catch made by James Hardy. And Indiana will be punting.
Brett Bell on the coverage on that comes up and make a sure tackle on it. The only thing he's got to do is good at the coverage and as physical as he is, he gave a little bit too much cushion there. He's lucky he didn't bring it down for a first down, but did what he had to do and coming up, tried to strip the ball, brought him down before the first down though.
Brandon Williams stands at his own 30 to receive the punt from Beatty. Beatty gets a very high and very short floater away that takes a Wisconsin bounce. It's down at the 45-yard line. That is just a 19-yard punt.
And again, here's Wisconsin inside Indiana territory. Great field position to start out. They got 3 points last time, but they've got to establish themselves here in the second half. We're almost, what is it, 4 minutes left in the third quarter here, and they really haven't got on track again for the second half. Now's the time to do that. They got to get something going, a few different play calls, whatever it takes, but they got to get something established here to start rolling in the second half.
Again, Calhoun, 18 carries, 62 yards. Badgers on the ground have not been effective. Credit Indiana, but it's also opened up the air. Stocko looks right, still looks, and throws. It's intercepted on the sideline, and with a chance to go all the way, cutting back towards the middle. Stocko makes a good tackle at the 25 on the interception by Porter. Tracy Porter with the interception and big-time return sets Indiana up at the 35.
Stocko throwing, and Williams wants a pass interference call of him knocking him down, but Stocko recognizing what it is, the lineman coming over and blocking the way, but Stocko brings him down for a tackle after he makes a mistake. But Williams really wanted an offense or a defensive pass interference call.
So the Hoosiers start in big-time scoring position at the Wisconsin 25-yard line and a 17-point Badger lead. It's not been a clean game for the Badgers by any stretch. Powers with time steps up, now evades. There's going to be a holding call on Indiana. The ball is incomplete on the near sideline, but an absolute wrestling takedown after Powers was flushed in the interior of the line is going to be a 10-yard holding call against Indiana.
Yeah, and that's a good call. He flat out did bring down the Wisconsin Badger there, but good coverage downfield to force him to hold and wait and wait and wait. Secondary's done a nice job, and after a couple breakdowns again, they have
holding.
1 or 2.
Offense, 74. 10 yards previous spot. Second down.
For the most part, though, their communication is good, and they're getting a lot of pressure from up front, forcing Indiana to grab and hold and do those types of things so Powers can get the ball off.
Still first down, but it'll be 1st and 20 yards. Ball at the 35-yard line. 3:48 to play in the third. The Badgers doubling up on Indiana, 34-17. Powers, 3 receivers to the near side and 1 to the top of your screen. Gets the shotgun handoff, goes up the middle, fumble, ball loose on the deck. Pick it up. It is by Wisconsin. Roderick Rogers, I believe, finally put his paws on it, and the Badgers get a big turnover right back from Indiana.
Made by Nick Hayden coming up the middle there, reaching out, putting those big old mitts on that ball and knocking it out. Lucky for the Badgers, they're bouncing around a little bit, but they got down on it. But Nick Hayden, you'll see right up here after the handoff, gets his big paws in there and just starts to rip and pulls it. Good job on his part, recognition where the ball is at, and for him to get a chance to do it, and Rogers coming up with the ball. Big turnover.
Rogers finally got his hands on it, and the Badgers get it back at the 15-yard line. Indiana has thrown 2 interceptions and now 1 fumble turnover on the day, so 3 7-2 in favor of takeaways for Wisconsin. And 1st and 10 at the 15. Bill Rentmeester in at fullback. Calhoun with a burst. Oh, he had a chance to go 85 yards. He's taken down after a pickup instead of 10.
It was by the free safety, number 5, Troy Grossfield there. Game-saving, touchdown-saving tackle right there, but he was running a long ways. All he saw was green. Had he not got tripped up there, shoestring tackle, he was running.
That would have changed the statistics dramatically.
You would have seen 80,000 people jump up in one big hurry, too.
1st and 10, ball at the 25. Again, Rentmeester, the lead fullback, doesn't do a whole lot of good there. Rentmeester made his hit on the linebacker, but the other blocking up front failed at the point of attack, and it's a loss of 1, maybe a no gain on the play. They gave him the original line of scrimmage.
You know, Indiana's front four there, when they get down there, their mark is the shoulder pad or the helmet right across from them. They follow that where it's going, and they do a tremendous job at that, which doesn't give very many seams for Calhoun to run through. And anytime you get a body inside that gap, you use your offensive guard or tackle as an extra defender.
2nd and 10, ball at the 25. Stocko to throw. Under pressure, come near side. Calhoun with a great one-handed catch. It's going to come back on a holding call against Wisconsin. Calhoun takes a late shot out of bounds. That apparently wasn't late, but close to it. But it's coming back on a holding call against the Badgers.
Yeah, close to a late hit out there, but I think he was still in bounds when he did get
holding. 52 offense, 10 yards previous spot. Still 2nd down.
Holding call goes against Joe Thomas, or 52, I'm sorry, Jason Palermo.
Jason Palermo is the left guard there.
I don't know how they call that on him again. Sometimes, you know, you can call holding on nearly any play, but he looked like he had the defensive tackle with his hands up in his face mask.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when the official, when they make that call, if you're beating your man and you're not doing it as an advantage, that's one thing. But if you're using that to gain the advantage, that's when they make that differential call.
2nd and 20. Stocko fakes left, tight end screen. Hey, they blew it up. Indiana read it, and now Stocko throws it away. He was outside of the tackle box. I don't know that the ball made the line of scrimmage, Nelly.
Yeah, I don't know either, but Poziak was running out there, so he at least threw it in his direction, but that was definitely intentional to hit the ground that way. Now it comes out late.
Yeah, and that, I don't think the ball made the line of scrimmage. Consider it's the 15-yard line. It barely made the 12.
Yep.
That's a good call. You can throw it.
Yards to number 7. Ball did not get back to the line of scrimmage. Spot foul. Loss of down. 3rd down.
Spot foul and a loss of down. So it's going to be 3rd, and Badgers going the wrong way. It's going to be 3rd and a bunch.
And that was the right call, because since it didn't get there, at least there was somebody in the vicinity. But
once you get outside the tackle box, you can throw it away, but it must clear the line of scrimmage.
Right.
But it never did. So the Badgers face a 3rd and 31 from their own 4-yard line. There will be a lot of teaching points out of this football game. Calhoun stretches near side, lost his footing, going to get the 10, the 15-yard line. Good run. Again, Calhoun lost his footing a bit early, and maybe that took him out of his rhythm. Picks up about 11 on the play, and Wisconsin will punt it.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to keep doing that with Calhoun. He's starting to get some gaps now. He's able to get through. The Indiana guys are starting to get a little tired. What he's got to do is get his offensive line and his blocking tight ends for him to step it up a little bit to give him that opportunity to get through there.
DeBush has been outstanding punting today. And a bit of a wobbler, but a huge boomer to the 35. Coming near side on the return is Grossfield, and he'll get to midfield before being roped out of bounds. 50-yard punt by Ken DeBush. About a 13-yard return. So Indiana will start just inside the 50-yard line in Wisconsin territory with a $1:25 to play in the 3rd quarter.
Their best field position so far of the 2nd half. And, you know, you mentioned teaching points. about this game. That's part of the reason they come out tomorrow. Badgers will go through a little shakeout run, loosen up, stretch out, get some of the soreness out, and then they go watch film. And every player is graded on every single play. So you have a plus or a minus. And there's going to be a lot of good pluses that come out of this, but those minuses are the ones that they focus on. Missed tackles, penalties, whatever the case. Those are the things they focus on. And going down to Northwestern on the road again, you got to make sure you tighten those things up.
Going to run a reverse. They made it look like an option. Reverse comes near side. An open field at the 35 to the 30-yard line. Out of bounds goes Marcus Thigpen. So Indiana, again, with a bit of trickery. A little sly offensive move there. Nets them about 18 yards on the play.
A little trickery, and you see Brett Bell coming in here. What he did, I guess, as far as the corner is concerned, he ducked inside, gave the guy the corner. Anytime you have outside contain, you got to make sure you stay outside of that man and allow your defensive linemen, your inside safeties, and your linebackers to flow over. That time he ducked in, gave him an extra alley to run through at 10 extra yards.
31-yard line, 1st and 10. Powers looks, and he gets drilled. Ball loose and picked up by Wisconsin. Badgers will get it back. And Nick Hayden is the beneficiary of a big rush and hit off the edge.
Big play by Joe Monty there. Quarterback didn't even see him coming. Laid a super big hit.
Holding, 73 offense. That penalty is declined. Play results. First down.
Takeaway by the Badger defense today.
You see Monty coming off the left side here. He just flat out rips underneath his tackle there and lays a heck of a shot on him. And Hayden, pursuing to the football, recognizes it's on the ground and lays a lot of weight on that ball.
You know, Nick, it probably did a really good job to fall on that ball, because had he picked it up, he'd have 61 yards to run. And I don't know.
He might have got 6.
Yeah, he might have got sick trying to run the 61 yards.
I tell you, Nick, the coaches are very happy with the way he's played so far this year, and with the couple injuries they've had down there, they've relied on him, and he's responded.
1st and 10, ball at the 39. Calhoun with a seam. Oh, nice hop to the outside. Comes to the 50-yard line, and the corner came from the boundary to take Calhoun's feet out, and a big pickup on the play. Tracy Porter on the tackle.
Calhoun just real shifty, and you mentioned it, a little hop to the side. There, not many backs can see that. And Abel, as he's running down, he sees a lot of people from the inside. The last second, he sees the corner coming from the outside. Again, his vision is tremendous.
He's going to go over 100 yards again. Now 22 carries for 95 yards on the day as we approach the end of the 3rd quarter, inside of a minute to play. They'll get more carries down the stretch here. Bumps this one. And Nelly, just as you said, there are beginning to be some seams in that Indiana defense. Rentmeester has come on to play the lead fullback role and has done a good job.
Yeah, it's just a workhorse now. You know Calhoun can do it. If Rentmeester is the guy to come in and put another big body in there and mix it up for a linebacker, this is the part of the ball control time where Wisconsin is very good. They don't panic. They understand that this is a workmanlike game. It's a big heavyweight fight again in the Big Ten, and they're going to take care of business knowing what they do best, and that's running the football.
And Wisconsin won't have to run another play. They'll go to the 4th quarter. Hands in the air, and the Badgers lead it at the end of 3 quarters today. It is Wisconsin 34 and Indiana 17. One more quarter of play coming up next from the camp. You're watching Wisconsin Public Television.
Thank you for watching Wisconsin Public Television. Now let us know what you think about the program you've just watched or any of our programs by calling 1-800-253-1158 or by emailing us at comments@wpt.org. Wisconsin Public Television belongs to you. Thanks for letting us know what you think.
The whole thing is emerging, as it were, out of the jungle. It's fantastic. What we don't know is what happened to all the people. The answer, I think, lies out there in the jungle.
They're all collaborating in this.
Sunday night at 7 on Wisconsin Public Television. This is Wisconsin Public Television, your place to grow through learning.
presentation of Badger football on Wisconsin Public Television is made possible in part by Goodman's Jewelers. John Hayes of Goodman's Jewelers, proud of the tradition started by Robert and Irwin Goodman. Goodman's Jewelers, the diamond store of Madison since 1933. News Talk 1310 WIBA AM and ESPN 1070. The Badgers play here. The Mendota Gridiron Club, the official fundraising organization for University of Wisconsin football. University Athletic Department, with official information about Badger athletics on the web. The Wisconsin Alumni Association, connecting, enriching, and serving UW-Madison alumni and friends for more than 140 years. UWalumni.com. And by the Badger Fund, the Wisconsin Athletic Department's annual fundraising program, 14,000 donors supporting 750 Badger student athletes.
So we got through another third quarter. The Badgers are 5 for 5 this year in third quarters without allowing a point. No points allowed in the third quarter this season for Wisconsin. And they just tallied a field goal themselves. See if they can grind out the fourth quarter on the ground with Brian Calhoun. He'll get the 45 on that second down play. It'll bring up a 3rd and 4. Calhoun is right at 101 yards now on the day. 24 for 109, or 101 rather.
You know, and this is the part of the game that he's really taken over in every game that he's played in, with the exception of Temple, where he didn't play hardly at all in the second half. The fourth quarter is where he shines. He gets stronger and stronger as the game goes on, and he relies on his linemen. They take advantage of that.
Empty backfield here for Stocco on 3rd and 4. And he looks near side, steps up. He can run or he can throw. He's now in trouble. He might get it. No, he'll be just shy at the 41-yard line. He lowered the shoulder, but he's going to be shy. Now Wisconsin will have a choice to make. Well, not much of a choice. Didn't take him long. Ken DeBush, great weapon on pooch punts. Stocco had a chance here early, but not the most fleet of foot. They close it off in a hurry, and he really didn't have a good spot to throw it to. Wisely takes it, and maybe not so wisely lowered his shoulder.
I think he would have learned that in the first game when he kind of got his bell rung a little bit, but he's a competitor. He's trying to get the first down.
Ken DeBush, very good at putting it inside the 20. Hangs this one up very high. Going to come down at the 12, make that the 11-yard line, and another great effort by Ken DeBush, pinning Indiana deep in their own territory at the 11. It's a 30-yard punt, but another inside the 20 for DeBush, and that's all you ask of your punter there. And he's better than just about anyone in the game right now. 7 of his 16 this year had gone inside the 20-yard line.
He's got a tremendous leg, and he's consistent. Whether he's placing the ball or kicking it straight downfield, he's very consistent.
Blake Powers still in at quarterback. 10 of 24, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And the throw here, as they have to, on the near sideline, on the boundary, caught by Thigpen. He's chased out of bounds by Alan Langford. A pickup of 7 on the play.
I think you'll see here a couple different times Wisconsin will go into some zone coverage early, 1st and 2nd downs, in longer situations just to cover down. Watkins hits the receiver. He just continues out to the flat, and then Langford's got to finish and clean up.
Taking care of the sound on the side, isn't it?
Yeah, a little love tap down there.
2nd and 3. Powers looks to throw, comes left side, has his man, good for a first down, caught by James Hardy, and he's got the first down by a good 1.5 yards. I don't know how a guy like that coming out of a college football season, I wonder how long it takes him to get rid of the aches and pains, because you know, playing football, Nelly, that you're never 100% once you actually start practice. You take enough hits that you've always got aches and pains.
Yeah, there's always something going on, icing, and the rest is big. And you're right, anytime that you do this for an entire season, try and go play the grind of a Big Ten basketball schedule, he's going to be hurt for quite a while.
Thrown to the right sideline, caught in front of Langford. Catch made by Thigpen, and it's complete, short of the first down. There's Antoine Randall L. Steelers have a bye tomorrow?
They must if he's here.
I guess so, yeah. It's Charlie Wills. Charlie never played against.
Speaking of basketball, huh?
Yeah, Charlie never played against Antoine because I think Antoine could have done whatever he wanted to. He probably been a good basketball player. Probably was. Probably still is. On the stutter step into the hole and close to a first down.
About a half-yard short. That last play where they threw, Powers wanted to come out again to Hardy. Hardy fell down, and that's why he went to a second option out there to get it for a second, about 5. But
Taylor hurt something, and he's going to have a hard time getting off a field on his own power. See how he goes down here. It might be an ankle. Good stutter step early. Their left leg got trapped under a little bit.
With Watkins.
Yeah, you see Antoine Randall L. here. We haven't called Marcus Randall L. And I mean, the reason I don't believe again that Marcus is in uniform today for Wisconsin. He's been hurt. Well, there he is, but we haven't seen him on the field or had his number called today. Marcus has been battling injuries. Yeah, Marcus, in a punt return against Temple, I believe, pulled a hamstring. I think we have that. This is the punt return. And there you can see he stumbled a little bit. I think he was more upset at the time, but he also came up a little hurt on the play and really hadn't seen any action since. I know Barry was asked about, well, not last Monday, but the prior Monday, about his status, and he said, Marcus has been hurt. Marcus can do a lot of things for us, but he can't do them when he's hurt. It's third and very short, and the sneak by Powers is good for the first down.
Powers with the keeper. Powers, again, we talked a little bit. He's a big quarterback. He gets out there, and basically at 6'4", he's just got to fall over his center, and he's going to make up that yardage. We talk about Randall L. Hamstrings are a very delicate thing. Even the smallest twinge on one of those things can hurt you for a long time, especially with guys like him and Williams or Calhoun. As hard and powerful and as fast as they run, those hamstrings tend to tighten up, and you just continue to re-aggravate the injury. That's probably why they're being a little bit more cautious with him.
It's a 1st and 10 at the 34-yard line for the Hoosiers. And they give on the counter, and up the middle goes Washington, good for a pickup of another 6 on the play. You're going to hear a lot of people after this game today saying, it was a boring football game. And there have been some explosive plays, but every game can't be played at the same emotional high, even for fans.
Yep.
And this one, with Indiana coming in, the best thing you could have happen today is win the game and not suffer any major injuries, and then get ready for a 2-game road trip.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they got to do here now with 11 minutes left in the game, and you really got to make sure they tighten things up and just finish strong without injuries, like you said.
Powers steps up and gets a first down. Now, we talk as though this game has long since been decided, and that's my mistake, but it is not. It is a 2-possession game. It's a 3-possession game, but Indiana is right there. They're down 17 points.
They're still making plays. They're still getting first downs. They're driving down the field. There's still plenty of time. Again, as quickly as they struck the first couple touchdowns that they've had, they're able to do that again. They keep widening things out, whether it's running plays or they get some receivers exposed downfield. They've got some weapons, that's for sure.
Powers this time will throw, has single coverage to the top and throws it that way and misses his man. Oh, he was going for James Hardy, who after a bit of hand fighting with Brett Bell on the sideline, beat him down the sideline, and Powers was a little late on the throw, and safety help came as well.
Little late, you're right, and then Johnny White comes up over the top, and I think had that ball been on the mark, White was right there to lay a lick on him, heading out of bounds, a little tap and a little pushing and shoving, but he had a great break on the ball, but you're right, it was a late thrown pass when he broke open from Brett Bell.
2nd and long, ball marked at the 46 with 10:28 to play. Powers 13 of 28 in the air today. 201 yards, couple of TDs, couple of interceptions. Under pressure, steps up, he'll run it, and he'll come to the near side where he's finally hemmed in and taken down by Dontez Sanders.
Wrapped up by Dontez Sanders. We get 1st and long, 2nd and long, those particular situations. for the offense on Indiana. Wisconsin is still doing a few different stunts up front, but it's more of a zone coverage in the back end, so they're able to cover more people as they've gotten widened out by 3 receivers on one side, a split on the other. Then that frees up your linebackers. They don't have to worry so much about a single man on a running back. They can flow more when a quarterback or running back does run. They're able to get up there and step up and make a tackle.
3 men on the defensive line for Wisconsin. Geno Cruz in the middle, Shaughnessy to the top, and Joe Monty on the near defensive end. Monty rushes to the inside, pressures Powers, throws it to the right side. Alan Langford on good coverage, and the ball goes harmlessly to the boundary. Indiana 4th and 6, down 17 points. Now do you decide to go for it? Is it 4 down territory, or do you punt it? And Terry Hepner runs out his punter.
That was real good coverage over there for a young defensive back. Learning to use the boundary that way as a defender. You put your guy on your backside there and make sure that you tuck him along the side there. And the only way he can go is either out of bounds or right through you to get the ball.
Well, we talked about Marcus Randall, and he's in the ball game now. He's going to return this punt. He stands at the 10-yard line. Beatty will hit it from the Indiana 40, and it's a line drive that is going to get in the end zone. No chance for Randall there. It carries all the way to the end zone. It's a 50-yard punt and no return. So the ball will go to the 20-yard line, and Wisconsin takes over on the offensive look. They'll still run out Brian Calhoun, who's got exactly 100 yards on 24 carries today.
When you look at that punt return setup that way, Mike, that particular situation, they kept their field defense out there, which is just a safe punt, they call it. A lot of times you don't use the same guy as a return man on that, so you won't see Williams run out there. Many times you'll have a defensive back that goes back there. That time they just subbed Randall Ellen to cover down as a return man, knowing he's got sure hands to catch the ball. Just kind of ensure yourself, I guess, against a possible fake around the 50-yard line there.
There are always a lot of things going on at Camp Randall Stadium, in the stadium on game day. Today is Alumni Band Day and Special Arts Day, in which Wisconsin always brings in a special arts musical group. And in this case, I believe it's a band and choir from all different parts of Wisconsin, and they performed a little bit earlier today at Camp Randall. Michael LeCrone and the University of Wisconsin, very actively involved in very special arts, along with the alumni band today. With a little help from my friends. Stocco goes back and wants to throw deep. Jonathan Orr over the middle. He's got it at the 40 and to the 33-yard line. Big home run ball there. Jonathan Orr for the second time today, wide open on a deep post.
I'm telling you, as big as he is, that's one nice thing that Stocco has a comfort level in. Throw it up for him to run. Let your receiver get underneath it. And Orr's come up a couple different times now today with big receptions and gets the fans going a little bit, gets some excitement on the offensive side of the ball. Now they're in Indiana territory. Continue to drive and control the clock.
Jonathan Orr, a big day in the air. 3 catches for 106 yards. Brandon Williams has 6 for 113. And now we might see a couple of doses of Brian Calhoun. Sprints to the outside. Rentmeester on a good block. Calhoun patiently waits and gets just inside the 30.
Got Rentmeester out there. You got Palermo coming around, and actually Palermo seals the corner, takes out 2 guys on that, allows Calhoun to break out there. Rentmeester blocked his guy. Calhoun ducked back underneath, but good pursuit to finish him off on the Indiana secondary. Rentmeester turns and gets his guy, and Calhoun decides to cut back underneath, but there you see all the white shirts coming in. But Palermo really allowed him to get around the corner there by sealing off 2 people.
2nd and 7, ball at the 30. Inside of 8.5 minutes to play, and Wisconsin trying to put the finishing touches on a victory over Indiana and a chance to move to 5-0. Stocko going to throw on play action. Under pressure now, dumps it near side, looking for Calhoun, and just missed him flat and wide of the mark. Pretty well covered as well.
Yeah, good coverage all around. They had 3 receivers out there. One was Calhoun. You had Minton and then Brandon White heading out there, and all of them were covered. Calhoun broke away from his linebacker a little bit, but Stocko, again, when you're running out there as a quarterback, it's hard to hit the receiver on the mark.
Get a good look there. John Panazzo, senior from Brooklyn, who came into the ball game leading Indiana with 21 tackles. It is 3rd and 7. Calhoun offset to the right. 2 receivers to the near side. Indiana shows blitz off the corner. Here they come. Stocko steps out and under. Throws behind Posiak, but he makes a good catch. And for Posiak, the Indiana native, it's his first catch of the year, and it's good for a first down.
Posiak again dropped him last week. They hit him right in the numbers against Michigan. This time now he gets a 2nd catch coming up here, and I tell you, tremendous job sealing it back on his hip. Stocko threw a bullet at him, but grabbed the ball. Good job securing that and turning upfield for a first down.
Ball settles at the 20-yard line. 1st and 10. Calhoun the lone setback. Owen Daniels unable to go after the first offensive play. It's been Posiak and Joe Nellis all day. Calhoun looks for a cutback. Nothing there. Lost a couple on the play.
We said it a couple different times. The Indiana front 7, front 4 especially, coming up when they keep their shoulders square and they drive through there. They're not driving down the line of scrimmage. They're driving through and across it, which allows them to make some penetration. And Calhoun doesn't have anywhere to go. He's got to bounce around, and he's got a little hot feet back there as opposed to being able to make a decision like he has in some of his bigger gains.
Well, I'll give Indiana credit because Calhoun has averaged less than 4 yards a carry today. On the year, he's closer to 5 yards a carry. Minton splits to the near side. 2 receivers to the top. Stocko to throw. Goes to the end zone for White. And they say he didn't get his feet in. Brandon White had a chance for a touchdown. They say he didn't get 1 foot in. And it is available for review. It is available to be reviewed.
Here we'll get a good shot at Stocko. Throws it right where he needs to at the back edge. Does he catch it in time?
That's hard to say.
Close.
It's hard to say on that look on the replay. Let's look again. See if that right foot, if that right foot didn't hit the end line, it's a touchdown right there.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell at that speed whether the toe was on the line or not. And I don't know if there is a better angle in which the replay official would be able to overturn that call. It's indisputable visual evidence. That's the term. The Big Ten resent that down the line this week to make sure it was phrased correctly. Indisputable video evidence.
We have indisputable video evidence. Receiver, foot down in end zone, touchdown.
That's a touchdown, Nelly.
I tell you, and the good thing for Brandon White, recognized where he was as he was heading into the end zone, recognized where Stocko was throwing the ball, was able to break down enough to get 1 foot in, secure the ball as his momentum carried him out. But that's a tough thing to do. Stocko threw the ball right where he had to at the end zone, at the end of the end zone, and White, again, breaking down just enough to keep 1 foot in the red.
The extra point is good, and it is Wisconsin 41, Indiana 17 with 7:06 to play. Stocko has quietly put together a pretty hefty statistical advantage here today. 13 of 24 for 274 yards, 2 TDs, a couple of interceptions as well. I'm sure that'll be pointed out. Badgers go 81 yards in 6 plays in 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Most of the damage being done in the air on that drive. Jonathan Orr had a big chunk to start it out. How about a good day for Jonathan Orr? 4 catches, 128 yards. Pretty good average per catch.
That's not bad at all. I think you'd take that every single week. Between him and Williams, you got Orr for 4 catches, 128 yards. Williams 6 for 113. They counted for 3 of Wisconsin's touchdowns. And again, for the first 4 or 5 games this year that haven't really been involved, and then they decide to step it up here. A tremendous job on their part.
Let's tell you that 2 weeks make that 3 weeks from today as the Badgers go on the road for the next 2 Saturdays. Purdue comes to town, and it is homecoming on Saturday, October the 22nd. Big time Big Ten action. The Badgers and the Boilermakers of Purdue. You'll catch it all at 10:30 on the 22nd here on Wisconsin Public Television.
It's fun to see Williams and Orr get some of the due that they had coming to them. Guys that have been in the program for a while and done a tremendous job. Orr redshirted. Williams comes in, plays as a true freshman. They both have tremendous years as freshmen, their first year playing, and Orr's got his priorities right. He does a tremendous job. I think with Joe Nellis from Madison Memorial, they have some stuff that's going on, help serve the community and the local area here, and do it the right way to understand that they've got some influential ability over. He's enjoying himself, I guess, huh?
You know, he might sit in Section O at some point after his career here is done.
You know, Orr kind of fitting for Section O that way.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but he's a quality person, and again, he's got his priorities right. He's willing to give back a little bit, which guys at the pro level don't always do that. Here, I think he understands what can come out of his exposure for the university and the community and the young kids that look up to those guys.
Badgers are going to win this football game today. It will be their 9th straight home win here at Camp Randall, which will eclipse the modern-day record. When the day started at 8 straight, I'm sorry, they've already won 9 straight. This will be their 10th, which is tied coming into today for the 8th longest current home winning streak in the country. And it will today, as they get their 10th, eclipse the modern day record for Wisconsin football, which was shared with the teams from 1953 to 55 and 61 to 63 that had all won. Both of those teams had won 9 consecutive home games. It seems to be that home field and home court advantage has really become something here at the University of Wisconsin. A year ago, it was the men's basketball team that had the longest streak in the country at home before Illinois came in and knocked off Wisconsin for their only loss at home under Bo Ryan in his time here at Wisconsin. And now Barry Alvarez has 10 consecutive home wins dating back to 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I think one thing that people remembered probably just about 3 years ago, home field in Camp Randall wasn't so friendly anymore. And so they've done a nice job in putting an onus on that to say, hey, this is our house. We got to protect it. And you're right, basketball has done a nice job. Women's basketball is coming around. You got the hockey team. There's a lot of excitement when people come here, and I think part of the home court advantage is the crowd and the excitement that they get about that they share with the team and sharing in the victory. It's a pretty awesome place.
It is 2nd and 5 for Indiana, under 7 minutes to play now. Powers on to fake in a wide open field for Powers, who doesn't slide, takes a couple of shots at the 47, make it the 48-yard line.
With 6:45 left, this is a place where, again, the Badgers, they can't sit back. They got to stay aggressive, keep coming after them, and making sure they read their keys and playing sound fundamental football. That's how you finish a game off like this. Nothing fancy. Just do your responsibility and trust the guy next to you is going to do the same thing.
Badgers continue to substitute freely on the defensive line, which John Palermo has always done with his defensive linemen. And You wondered where the depth would come from there after graduating and losing 4 guys from last year, the starting 4. But that defensive line has seemingly been a strength of this defensive unit this year, Scott.
Yeah, and even with a couple guys going down, again, Ostrowski early in camp, Cooper in the North Carolina game, guys have been able to fill in, and part of that is because he does substitute so freely. The other part is they've got some very solid linebackers behind him that allow them to do some freedom that way that the guys on the offensive line can't always just account for the front 4. They've got to look downfield a little bit, the linebackers.
2nd and 9, Powers in the shotgun. Badgers show blitz. Sanders to the outside, 3 on the inside. Good play call with a screen, but a nice play by Zalewski, who broke up the screen opportunity, and it was a perfect play call for the Wisconsin blitz package, but Zalewski stayed home and took care of business.
Yeah, and a lot of times when you do that blitz, the other guys coming in, the linebackers have a responsibility, secondary responsibility of your man. Zalewski's mark was number 33. Washington for Indiana that way, and he read it. He saw him slide out there. He read the lineman running out there, and he covered down where he was supposed to.
3rd and 12 for the Badger defense. Been awfully good in not allowing second-half points. Powers under pressure over the middle, throws it high. It's incomplete. Oh, and a late flag. What's that call for? Well, I'm not sure of what that penalty flag is thrown for.
That's a terrible call on that. First off, it wasn't catchable. And he said he came up over the top for interference, but you can do that. You can go over him.
They're going to say the referee is trying to determine. He's going to say it's uncatchable.
A personal foul. Defender went to the head of the receiver. That's a 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
That's a bad call.
Well, you think Barry thinks it's a bad call?
I think all coaches on his staff think that's a bad call.
Wow.
There's some of the emotion. He's going up for the ball. There's no reason. That's not
I don't know why. What are you calling there?
He just went through him to get him. I don't know if he said because he wrapped around his head when they were going down.
He called it a personal foul.
I don't think that was intentional for him to wrap up his head. I think it was just coming over the top, and he just got caught up in there. But
that was a rotten call. Good thing it's in a 41-17 game.
Yeah.
Powers takes advantage here and rolls to the far side. Misdirection. Badgers play it perfectly with Brett Bell. Oh, what a good defensive play.
Good play by Bell, recognizing what was coming at him. A little misdirection. Quarterback rolls out to the right, but again, Bell staying home, covering the man he's supposed to. And just what we were talking about a little bit ago, a game like this, to finish it, you got to play good, sound fundamentals, take care of your responsibility, and trust that the guys next to you will. Zalewski did it on the screen pass. Bell did it right there.
So Wisconsin holds up there. It's 2nd and 10. Ball at the 40-yard line inside of 5 minutes to play. Blitz coming near side. Sanders picked up. Throws it over the middle. Incomplete. Looking again to go to his favorite target. James Hardy, who's had a pretty good day. Hardy with 5 catches for, well, pretty good. 5 for 143 yards.
Yeah, that's not too bad. And what do you have? An 87-yard touchdown early in the first quarter there. And obviously a threat. When you're 6'7", though, that helps you a little bit.
Big kid, strong kid, got good hands. 3rd and 10 and 4 receivers, 2 on each side, and a lone back in the backfield to the right of Powers. From the shotgun, takes the low snap, now flushes right, looks to throw underneath. Langford steps up, and they'll drag Hardy down short of the marker.
That's what Langford hasn't done a couple different times, allowing the guy to catch the ball, but then coming up wrap up, he's fallen down a few times. That time he stayed on his feet, allowed his buddies on the defense to come over, and a lot of red shirts finishing him off for the tackle short of the first down.
It's 4th down, and Indiana will keep their offensive unit on the team. They're going to go for it on 4th down. Badgers have only allowed 16 second-half points all year. None so far today. Like to keep it that way. 3 receivers to the near side and a slot back to the left of Powers. Now Thigpen in motion, comes back, and he'll flush near side. Throws it on the run to Thigpen, and it's a first down of the 25.
Good play call there by Indiana that ran virtually what they call a pick route. Got one guy going straight to the outside, the other two coming and trying to gradually and casually knock off the guy that's supposed to cover him. Gives a separation, allows him to catch the ball and turn upfield for the first down. But that's tough when you got a guy in motion. The speed of that happens pretty quick.
It's a first down inside the 25 for Indiana. 3:53 to play in this ball game. These two teams didn't play the last 2 years, but nobody on this current Wisconsin roster has ever beaten the Hoosiers. Flushed out right. That's going to be a grounding. You got to throw an intentional, well, yeah, just to drop the flag. Intentional grounding. Matt Shaughnessy got the pressure on Powers.
Intentional grounding, number 14. Spot foul. Lost it down. Second down.
And Shaughnessy's shown up a couple different times today, and that's where you see the speed that he has. And because he's so long, even though he's 225 pounds, that's almost the prototype guy that you want to have. 225, 230, long and fast to come off the corner that way.
So it'll make it a 2nd and 27.
Penalty move fallback to the 41-yard line, 2nd and 27.
Again, late defensive changes for Wisconsin. And Powers from the shotgun. Looks to his right, throws that way in front of Langford with a late break. He missed it, and it's caught, and it's now out of bounds. So they'll rule it a catch. And then taking it down the field is James Bailey. Langford went for the play, and I don't know how he missed it. He looked like he was right there.
Yeah, Bailey, pretty big receiver in his own right. Langford just, I think he caught it late. Vision of the football late. Trying to knock it around, but actually he almost looked out of bounds there.
Well, he's got 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Which one came down first?
Right.
3rd and 16.
It's 3rd and 16 as it stands if they don't review it with 3:41 to play. Badgers run a blitz stunt up the middle. Now Powers flushes right. Wants to throw to the end zone. He throws it out of the end zone. And it brings up a 4th down play.
I'm surprised when he turned the corner, a lot of green in front of there. He didn't try and run. All he had was Zalewski out there, who runs very well, but sometimes a little pump fake, even though you cross the line of scrimmage, just freeze the defensive secondary and freeze your linebackers just enough to let you get upfield.
Well, it's 4th down again for Indiana. 4th and 16. Ball's on the 30. 3:31 on the clock.
A little help from the crowd right now is good.
And again, more teaching opportunities for the Badger defense. 4th down situation. Don't look at the scoreboard because the score of the game doesn't matter. You got to come up with a play here. Bad snap. Powers picks it up off the turf. Throws it right. Nobody's home. Again, it's going to be a defensive penalty on Brett Bell. Bell and the receiver both went down. James Hardy and Bell both went down. But a flag comes in
holding
late.
Defense. Number 6. 10-yard penalty. Previous spot. Automatic. First down.
Well, that's a huge play. And the ball marked all the way down to the 20.
Yeah, that's 2 different times. One on a real questionable call, but I tell you, that one I'm not so sure on, but the first one definitely was. They gave him a first down. This one gives them another first down, keeps Indiana's drive alive. Boy,
well,
right,
you
right
see
there,
them down, but you don't know how they both went down. So Brett Bell, a senior and a co-captain for Wisconsin, and Indiana gets a fresh set of downs again. They'll sprint it out to the near side and ducking underneath, picking up a few on the play.
Tell you, coaches deal with their teams in a lot of different ways, and dealing with the adversity is one thing, and these guys need to respond to that now. They've kind of set themselves up. One with, 2 plays that we couldn't see that last holding call, but the first one with an official, you're going to get some calls that go for you and against you. You got to be able to respond, and now when they're inside your own red zone, you got to make sure you protect the house there and get them into a 3rd and long, 2nd and long situations again, and then hold strong.
Josiah Sears picked up 3 on that last play. He's slotted just left of Powers. Takes the shotgun snap. Comes near side. Has his man at the 10-yard line. And he's dragged down inside or right about the 10, Brandon Walker-Roby. And it's a first down and goal to go now for Indiana just inside the 10-yard line.
This is probably one of the toughest areas to be when you got 10 yards to go for a touchdown. It's not like being at the 40 or 50-yard line trying to get a first down, but trying to actually score. It's a lot different situation. And defense right now, they're sucking gas a little bit. They got to get up, get some air. This timeout by Indiana will help.
Indiana's going to take a timeout with 2:22 on the clock. Statistically, this game has come to pretty close to even. Indiana has 237 passing yards, Badgers 274. Total offensive yards 374 Wisconsin, 359 for Indiana.
You know, really, when you look at those stats, even though they're that close, there's, what, 3 plays that have really caused the Badgers to give up the 17 points that they've done. You take the 140 yards away from that, that's not that bad of a defensive output.
Let's look at the Big Ten schedule for next weekend, as Wisconsin will go on the road in Big Ten play for the first time at Northwestern. That's an 11 o'clock kickoff in Evanston next Saturday. Illinois is at Indiana. Iowa at Purdue is a good one. Minnesota at Michigan, a very good game. And Ohio State at Penn State could be quite a matchup. Those are games next week on Saturday, October the 8th. Badgers not back in town until the 22nd when Purdue comes calling for a homecoming game at Camp Randall Stadium, and the kick is set for 2:30. You can catch all the action 3 weeks from tonight at 10:30 on Wisconsin Public Television.
The Badger defensive unit is going to have a lot of work to do going into next week because Northwestern has a really potent offense, a lot of different weapons, and they mix and match a whole bunch of different formations and things at you that they got to make the corrections from today's game and do that in a hurry to get ready for next week.
Well, they're going to have to get a little bit healthy. Owen Daniels not able to go today. Matt Burnt, well, Daniels went, but came out on the first play and didn't go back. Be very curious to see that. He is such a good weapon for the Badgers. They also didn't have the services at all today of Matt Bernstein, and they need Bernie. I think Calhoun's numbers show a little bit of how they need Bernie.
Yeah, he's basically as big as he is another offensive lineman there, but a guy that can run and the guy can reach those linebackers that sometimes your center and your guards can't.
And defensively, the Badgers are about as healthy as they're going to be. You're not going to get Jamal Cooper back. I don't know if they're going to get Justin Ostrowski back at all. He hasn't played a snap all year. Indiana has it first and goal just inside the 10. Going against the Badgers' Buttercup defense. Powers looks deep in the corner in the right. Nobody home. He threw it to the pylon.
That's a lot of times just a misread, either by the quarterback or by the receiver. They see one thing and the other guy sees the other, and he's thrown to a spot out in the corner of the end zone. The receiver actually did a quick slant route as opposed to heading to the outside.
2:16 to play. Fourth quarter. Badgers on top 41-17. Scored in a variety of ways today. Punt return for a touchdown. A couple of long passes from Stocco to Brandon Williams, who has 3 touchdowns on the day. Powers leaves it on the turf and now takes a shot, but gets out of the grasp and runs to the 6-yard line.
Again, Powers isn't really known for his running ability, but he's a big, strong kid that he can run out of the grasp with some of the linemen and linebackers that way. But very lucky with that ball on the turf that either wasn't a turnover, that wasn't a sack down there. But I tell you, he's a big, strong kid that's able to get out of Ware's grasp right there and then get upfield for a nice little gain since it was a busted play.
Thought Kurt Ware might get him there. He couldn't, and then Chapman couldn't get him either. So the ball marked at the 7-yard line. 3rd and goal at the 7. 1:35 to play. 3 receivers near. Single coverage to the top with Brett Bell. And that's where he looks first. Powers now with double coverage there. Has to throw it to the back of the end zone. And it's caught by James Hardy. 1-on-2, and Hardy wins the battle.
And Hardy, again, a huge target for him to be throwing at. Powers waits and waits. Hardy does a hard in route, goes outside, realizes he's got 2 guys on him that both over pursue with him, They duck underneath. He just drops back into the open area, and Powers is able to find him. But again, that's a lot of the patience waiting for the route to clear by Powers so Hardy can come open.
Well, Indiana's got a true weapon in James Hardy. That's 7 catches for 157 and 2 touchdowns today. And Mike Davis is going to have him on the hardwood come December.
This won't be the last look that Badger fans will have at him, that's for sure. If he's at that athletic out here, I can't imagine as strong and as physical as here, getting down low and making rebounds and shooting hoops. But he's definitely a talented ball player no matter what he's doing.
It is 41-24 with 1:22 to play. You would imagine Indiana is going to work on their onside kick game here. Again, watch the play. They did roll up double coverage on the corner. Johnny White and Brett Bell had Hardy 2-on-1, but they both went towards the front pylon of the goal line, and Hardy went to the back of the end zone. You can see it here.
Yeah, a pretty good look, and White just covering underneath, and then Bell never came back up over the top. But a lot of times you play some zone coverage that way, trying to target on that guy. You know that Hardy's their main man to go to, and sometimes you get a little too aggressive and you forget about where you're supposed to be.
When you saw White kind of chase him towards the pylon, and he's got Brett Bell there, and that's something you learn a little bit after time, that you've got help there, so don't overcommit, and he broke on it.
And again, that's one of the teaching points you've hit on a little bit here today, is that there's certain things that they don't necessarily see or understand when they're on the field, but once they see it on film, that clicks with them, and they understand what the responsibility is supposed to be.
Indiana sets up for the onside kick. It would appear that it would come towards the near sideline. Badgers put what they call the hands team. It's popped up in the air. Offsides on Indiana. Ball caught and then dropped. It is recovered, I believe, by Indiana, but it would have been out of bounds. So they point Wisconsin's direction. Indiana was offside on the kick in any case. So if the line judge there points the Badgers' way, Wisconsin will decline the penalty, take the ball, and take the knee a few times.
That's always a risk you run when you try and do something a little bit different that way with the onside kick, that guys are so aggressive at trying to get downfield, at least block that first wave, that a lot of times their timing is
Number 9 on the kicking team, offsides. By rule, 5-yard penalty enforced from the end of the run. Wisconsin's ball. First down.
All right, so the ball it was recovered by Porter, who was the guilty party offside, but he was out of bounds when he had it. Last possession belonging to Wisconsin, so the Badgers get it at the Indiana 45. And I think Coach's favorite play is about to happen 2 or 3 times here.
Yeah, make it pretty simple that way.
Although it looks like they're going to set Booker Stanley and Rentmeester up behind Tyler Donovan. And they hand to Booker, who waits on the near side, cuts it toward the sideline, and runs out of bounds. I'm sure they're not thrilled that they're going to stop the clock.
Another teaching point. It's hard to, temper some of that Booker's excitement of being in there and trying to do some good things and trying to get some positive yardage. And he's used to playing, and he's been in some big-time games that get forward that way. And, even though you want him to stay in bounds and keep the clock running, it's hard to temper that enthusiasm and desire to get downfield.
It's a good solid run, pickup of 7 on the play. Again, Booker, the tailback of the I formation, gets it from Donovan and steps up into the middle of the line this time. Going to be short of the first down.
Looks like Indiana's intent on just letting the clock run out, and rightfully so. And they just keep on taking as much time as they possibly can and run this game out. And it wasn't, like you said, a real pretty ball game by either squad, but they did what they had to do. And Wisconsin did a nice job of trying to get a couple points here in the second half, and they were able to respond with some turnovers and do some good things that way.
And John Stocco, a pretty good day, 13 of 24, 274 yards, 3 touchdowns in the air. Brandon Williams with the big day in the air and on punt returns. 6 catches, 113 yards, 2 TDs there. 1 punt return for a touchdown. Jonathan Orr, a big day, 4 catches for 128 yards and a touchdown. And the Badgers going to get a big win here today. It is 41-24. A reminder, next Friday and Saturday night, Badger hockey is on Wisconsin Public Television as they open the season at the Kohl Center against the St. Lawrence Saints. Badgers move to 5-0 today. Join us next weekend for the start of the hockey season. Mike Eaves and a hockey team take on St. Lawrence October 7th and 8th. Watch all the action 10:30 each night here on Wisconsin Public Television. Thanks again to our crew for working today's game. For Scott Nelson, I'm Mike Heller. The final score, Wisconsin 41, Indiana 24. Good night from Camp Randall Stadium.
Presentation of Badger football on Wisconsin Public Television is made possible in part by Goodman's Jewelers. John Hayes of Goodman's Jewelers, proud of the tradition started by Robert and Irwin Goodman. Goodman's Jewelers, the diamond store of Madison since 1933. News Talk 1310 WIBA AM and ESPN 1070. The Badgers play here. The Mendota Gridiron Club, the official fundraising organization for University of Wisconsin football. University Athletic Department, with official information about Badger athletics on the web. The Wisconsin Alumni Association, connecting, enriching, and serving UW-Madison alumni and friends for more than 140 years. UWalumni.com. And by the Badger Fund, the Wisconsin Athletic Department's annual fundraising program, 14,000 donors, supporting 750 Badger student athletes.
Thank you for watching Wisconsin Public Television. Now let us know what you think about the program you've just watched or any of our programs by calling 1-800-253-1158 or by email